Board of Supervisors meeting of Tuolumne County to order. First item is the Pledge of Allegiance, and Supervisor Gray will lead us. Pardon me? Okay, first item on our agenda, as always, is oral communications. This is the time that the public may speak only on items not on the printed agenda. I want to emphasize that no action may be taken by the board. So if you're anticipating us doing something about it at this point, we won't be. We may refer it to staff. But first up, come on up.
Patrick Copel. I'm a resident.
I'm sorry. Before we start, everybody gets 3 minutes, okay?
Resident of Tuolumne County here in Sonora. Just a quick comment about roads. I know you guys get a lot of feedback about roads, so I guess I'm kind of joining the chorus here. But Jamestown, it's a nightmare getting through Jamestown, and these stoplights keep popping up on Highway 108. I assume some of that's coming from Caltrans. I'd encourage you guys, if they want the county to put up another stoplight somewhere on 108, really push back on that and maybe even find some other solution to the existing lights, because they're really causing a nightmare. Thank you much.
Okay, just for the public's information, the new stoplight at 5th Avenue is part of an incomplete project with the new bridge that's going to be put in over Woods Creek. There is going to be some temporary difficulties. Hopefully they'll straighten themselves out when the project is done. And if you don't like stoplights, Caltrans is liking more and more traffic circles. So stand by for that. Come on up, please.
Hello, my name's Pam Orbaugh. I'm from Center for a Nonviolent Community, and I'm here because October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. And in order to address this issue in Tuolumne County, Center for a Nonviolent Community and Women Helping Other Women are hosting the Empowering Women Strengthening Communities Summit Friday at 5:30 at the Sonora Opera Hall. All people are welcome to attend this event. The intention is simply that when women are empowered, whole communities thrive. And I have some flyers for you. Our mascot is Rosie the Riveter, hence my appearance before you today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Come on up.
You first? Yes. Hi, my name's Kim, and I was actually born and raised here in Jamestown, California, and moved away for the last 10 years or so, and became a domestic abuse survivor in my 10 years away. I have since moved back home into Jamestown with my folks and wanted to speak on behalf of the awesome resources that I have come to be privileged to enjoy from the Center of Nonviolence here in Tuolumne County, and just want to say they're doing a wonderful job, and whatever might come up in the future to support them, I highly recommend it, because in this small county of Tuolumne, I didn't expect such wonderful women to be there to help me through my crisis. Thank you.
Welcome home.
Thank you.
Good morning, Board. Supervisor Rotifer. I'm Ginger Martin, District Attorney Victim Witness Coordinator, and I just wanted to comment about Victim Witness supports Domestic Violence Awareness Month and our collaboration with CNBC. We're very privileged to have a great relationship with all of the advocates and other services in the community for domestic violence, both men and women, and we just really wanted to say thank you to CNBC for extending that collaboration to us.
Thank you.
I'm Fred Buis, and my wife and I operate a bed and breakfast here in town. We wanted to speak to the issue of the increase in the TOT. I understand this might be the last opportunity to do that.
It's actually an agenda item. And
it is? I didn't see it
at
on there.
1:30 this afternoon.
Oh, very good.
It's under revenue enhancement. It is It is an appointment, so it will be the first thing at 1:30 this afternoon. You're
Will there-
welcome to come back and talk to us.
There'll be public discussion. Great. We'll be there for that.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Yes, sir.
Good morning. I just want to say it's the health fair down the street at the Motherlode Fair. I would encourage everyone to go. I already got quite a nice welcome from CAL FIRE at their booth. Thank you very much. And I almost got killed crossing the street. Kim McFarland stopped to let me cross the street. There's no crossing, there's no lights, there's no sign. It's a state highway. And she almost got creamed by two cars. One car had to go this way, one car had to go that way. We could have had like a 4-car pileup there if someone had come along. So for those of you on the TCTC, for at least, 2 years, 3 years now, I've complained about how dangerous it is to be a pedestrian on a state highway on Stockton Road in our community. And I already talked to the CHP there because it's their jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Glad you survived, Kim. And you as well, Carol. Okay. Next item on our agenda is staff reports. This is a point where the staff can report on anything that's not on the agenda. Again, no action is going to be taken at this time. You're not staff, you're an elected official, but go ahead.
I was told
You know, you're good. You're good. I
the
was giving
assistant
you a hard
CAO
time.
told me to do it now.
I
So.
was giving you a hard time.
Good morning, Board, Chairman. Couple quick announcements. On Saturday, October 26th, between 10 and 2, we're going to have the Tuolumne County Take Back Day. It's sponsored by the Sheriff's Office, of course, the Tuolumne County Opioid Safety Coalition, the YES Partnership, and DEA. And that's where you can come down to the Junction Shopping Center right there by our CSU and dump off expired, unused drugs. No Sharpies, please. And you can come in and get rid of all those drugs in your home. Secondly, and I'm going to give these out. For all of you that have young children, on Halloween from 3 to 5 at the Sheriff's Office, we're going to have a trick-or-treat and haunted house. It's gotten to be quite elaborate. Each office is decorated in some sort of theme. We'll have the Addams family there this year. I'll dress up, which is a lot of fun with Neil. We typically do something pretty fun. So come by, see us, bring your children, and enjoy Halloween in a safe way.
Thank you, Sheriff. And are you going to be the Great Pumpkin?
No.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Andrew Murphy. I'm the Assistant Fire Chief for Tuolumne County Fire Department. A couple of things I wanted to go over this morning briefly. First, we're happy to announce and would like to extend our sincere gratitude to Mr. Bill Cosby of Navistar Corporation and Peterson Caterpillar and San Leandro for the support of County Fire and CAL FIRE. We recently received a new heavy-duty diagnostic computer with the most up-to-date software that's available, donated to Tuolumne County Fire Department to help diagnose and repair our fleet. The software is basically bumper to bumper. It's to help diagnose issues or prevent problems with our fleet. This includes reading engine codes, monitoring engine operations, and all of the programs and systems on the fire engines, even back to the early 2000s and 90s. This will be one of the most utilized tools we have in the fleet. It's already been used over a dozen times just in the week that we've had it. The value of this donation was approximately $7,000. Again, we'd like to extend the gratitude to Mr. Cosby, Navistar Corporation, and Peterson Caterpillar for donating this vital asset to the department that will aid in our continued goals of reducing cost, increasing efficiency, and protecting the lives and property of the citizens and visitors of Tuolumne County. Also on your desk and in the back for the public is what we hope to be the first of many monthly activity reports for the activity of the county fire department. And then it highlighted there's several of the things that were going on in the fire department last month, most notably the grants, the fire engine that we're in the process of securing the bids for. County Fire responded to 522 incidents in September, which is 104 calls more than 5 years ago for the same period of time. We also talk about the different activity and the volunteers, fire stations throughout the community. A couple of significant events. We had a few residential structure fires, and of course the vegetation fire down in off South Shore Tulloch. September 12th we marked the 15th anniversary of the death of our beloved Eva Marie Scheike. And then also, in addition to that, we're staying active in the community with public education events and on social media. And we welcome everyone to join us at those on those mediums. And that's all I have.
Really liked the report, read it online yesterday, and I just want to urge the public to go to your website and look at it. There's a lot of good information there. We have a really active county fire department, so keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And for those of you that didn't do the mental math gymnastics, 522 calls is more than 17 calls a day for the month.
Yep.
So thank you for all you guys do to keep us safe.
Thank you. I'll pass it on.
Yep. Any other staff reports? Seeing none, just a comment. The reason we broke the staff reports out from public comment was to make sure that the public got their full time allotment of public comments so that the staff wasn't taking up your time. So moving on, would the clerk of the board please read the consent calendar, items 1 through 2, and 4 through 8. We will be pulling item 3 for discussion.
Minutes of the meeting held on October 1st, 2019, adopting a resolution supporting the Association of California Water Agencies Integrated Regional Water Management Policy Principles, approving the invitation of bids to contract for snow removal and de-icing services 2019-2021, and issue a call for bids due on November 5th at 2 p.m. Approving the amendment number 1 to the agreement with Cox Consulting for administration of the Community Development Block Grant in the amount of $32,500. Approving the agreement with Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Stockton for mental health services for older adults in the amount of $65,000. Approving the amendment agreement with the Summit View Child and Family Services, Inc. for residential care services in the amount of $65,000. Approving the appointment of Jennifer Salazar to the Tuolumne County Behavioral Health Advisory Board.
Okay, is there any public comment on any items that were just read?
For the benefit of the public, I would like a more further discussion or at least information on the agreement with Catholic Charities for mental health services. And I would like to apply Jennifer for applying to the Behavioral Health Advisory Board because they need more people that are actually active and willing to do something on that commission.
Does any member of the board want to pull item number 6?
For discussion?
For discussion.
For explanation, I would be fine.
Okay, then we will pull item number 6 as well. Okay, any other public comment? Okay, looking for a motion from the board.
Move to approve the consent calendar.
Okay, do I have okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Campbell on the consent calendar, items 1 through 2, 4 and 5, 7 and 8. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, it passes 4-0 with Supervisor Kirk absent. And that's going to be all day, so I'm not going to repeat that. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 3?
This is consideration of adopting a resolution approving the forest health restoration in the Tuolumne County and Stanislaus Watershed Planning Project for the Sierra Nevada Conservancy Grant Program authorizing the county administrator or designee to negotiate and sign.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yes, Chair Rutherford, pursuant to Government Code Section 87-100, I am recusing myself from this item based on a conflict of interest due to my economic interest in the grazing allotments, potentially in the NEPA analysis area.
Okay, thank you. Staff report.
Okay, Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am pleased to be here again, as I was last meeting, for another grant application that we are pursuing under the county's Master Stewardship Agreement with the Stanislaus National Forest. This grant is a planning grant, which is unique. We have all of the other projects that we are in the process of completing. All of the environmental planning has been done already by the Forest Service. This will be the first one that we will be undertaking ourselves to do the planning on. And the planning, I mean the environmental planning, which is all of the assessments that need to be done, the studies, biological, cultural, etc. This grant is for up to $100,000 in planning, which won't probably quite get us there, but we have some other plans to get us there. But this ultimately, there's a map in your staff or in the packet there. There's the green section is what this is for. This is outside of the Tuolumne, kind of to the south side of 108, along Highway 108 there. So this will be a fuel reduction project that will, take care of small diameter trees and be strategically located to afford critical community protection, again, for all those communities that go along 108. So we're talking Tuolumne all the way up to Long Barn. This also will be conducted in conjunction with a grant that the Fire Safe Council received from California Climate Investments, and they're doing a fuel break project in the Tuolumne, Mount Provo area on private lands. This, again, will be on Forest Service land with our Master Stewardship Agreement. So today I'm asking for your board to approve a resolution that not only authorizes the county administrator to submit the grant, but also authorizes the county administrator to execute all documents should we be awarded.
Okay. Thank you. Do I have any public comment? Bring it back to the board.
Move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain. It is 3-1-1 with Supervisor Brennan recused. And Supervisor Brennan, you're welcome to come back. And with the clerk of the board, please read item number 6.
Consideration of approving agreement with Catholic Charities of the Diocese of Stockton for the mental health services for older adults in the amount of $65,000.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Good morning. Michael Wilson, Behavioral Health Director, Chair, members of the board. As you know, MHSA provides us with a lot of opportunities to do prevention. We do that through PE&I, and Catholic Charities has been doing this type of work since 2009. I can go into the details to answer the concerns, and the contract really focuses on prevention. So they are going to offer support groups 2 a month. They do in-home and in-community outreach to the elder population, and I missed the part that they're the only one that applied for the request for proposal is the other issue. So they intend to serve at least 45 individuals in residential, and then they have other outreach for facilities. Once again, they're going to do groups. And
Okay.
do you have any questions?
Okay. Any questions of the board?
Thank you.
Public comment? Okay, bring it back to the board. Okay.
Move approval of item number 6.
Second.
Okay, Supervisor Brennan moved. Supervisor Gray seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, we got passed with 4 votes. Will the clerk of the board please read item number 9?
Oh, how about number 10? Remember we wanted to switch?
No, we're going to switch 10 and 11. We're going to do 9.
Okay, perfect. So it's consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming October 2019 a Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Awareness Month in Tuolumne County.
Hello.
Good morning, Board. My name is Kathy Roberson, and I'm a public health nurse, and I work for Tuolumne County Public Health. And I want to pass you out these postcards.
Thank you.
So I'm here today to request the proclamation of October 2019 as Safe Sleep and Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Awareness Month. SIDS is an abbreviation for Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. It is a very tragic occurrence, and it is the sudden and unexplained, unexpected death of a child, and it usually happens between the ages of 2 weeks and 1 year of age. There is usually no identifiable cause, and almost all of these cases are thought to occur when the infant has been sleeping or is sleeping. Although no identifiable cause is involved, it is thought to be a dysfunction of the cardiopulmonary risk mechanism. So the primary risk factors of SIDS is sleeping on the stomach. So the recommended position for baby is always sleeping on his or her back. So the risk factor is different, but the recommended position is to have the baby sleep on his or her back always, is including naps all the time. Then other risk factors include smoking in the home, placing soft objects like pillows, quilts in the crib area. We don't want anything in the sleep area. Overheated environment is another risk factor. Unsafe cribs, and then not following safe sleep practices. So our job is to prevent this terrible tragedy of happening, and then again to ensure that the baby is placed on his or her back on a firm surface. Also, exclusive breastfeeding is also important. So in our county, locally, Tuolumne County has had one SIDS in 2016 reported and one in 2019 as of this time. Our SIDS program continues to focus on providing education to the community, to the offering grief counseling and talking about prevention to families over and over again in home visits and any way we can get the message out. I'm here today to request that your board adopt the resolution proclaiming Safe Sleep and Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Awareness Month for October 2019.
Thank you very much. Is there any public comment on this? Okay, bring it back to the board. Supervisor Brennan, you look like you're reaching for your weapon there.
I just want to thank you for bringing this public attention, and I don't know that it's so devastating to a family when one of these deaths occur, and the information is a very important reminder. And I know some of the other groups that you're working with are pushing this message also, and so thank you for that. And be prepared to move when you're ready.
Okay, Supervisor Campbell, you had comments?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to thank you for sharing this information. As you stated, we've had some tragedies in Tuolumne County, not in the not too distant past, and so it's amazing to me that I remember when this when SIDS became, I guess you'd say, discovered as a concept in I guess the 80s or 90s is when it started becoming publicized, and we still don't know what the root causes are of it.
Correct.
But we do have procedures that you can follow to reduce the chances of SIDS occurring in the house. And as you mentioned, it's having babies sleep on the back, no smoking in the house, no stuffed animals or padding around the crib, just kind of having wrapping the baby up in tight, form-fitting clothes to keep them warm is a better way than having blankets. And we had not too long ago had 3 babies in the house, so it's always a big fear of parents. And sadly, Tuolumne County is not immune. So thank you very much for kind of raising awareness about this.
Thank you.
And thank you. But could you go ahead and state the Facebook page where the public can get this information?
Yes. So you can also learn more about SIDS at www.cdph.ca.gov/SIDS. And on the bottom, we're going to put some out for our community on the back. At the bottom is our Facebook page, too, that it will take you there.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I just, I can't imagine the emotional event of losing a small child and really not knowing why. Be a terrible tragedy. So thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for making all of us in the community aware of this potentially devastating, I guess syndrome is not the right word, but that's the one that comes to my mind. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Did I ask for public comment? I think I did. Okay. Looking for a motion, Supervisor Brennan.
So I'll move on adopting a resolution proclaiming October 2019 as Safe Sleep and Sudden Infant Death Syndrome Awareness Month.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, abstain, 4-0.
I think John got in there before me.
Oh, I'm sorry. Supervisor Gray seconded.
He was sneaky.
You guys kind of look alike. Other than that,
We do,
okay.
don't we?
Okay.
I take that as a compliment.
Yeah, you're about the same age. Would the clerk please read item number 11?
Okay. Presentation of the County Service Award to the dispatcher Leanne Castleberry and Sergeant Jeff Wilson for the from the Sheriff's Office.
Good morning again, Board. Chairman Rutherford. Today I have the pleasure of acknowledging 2 of our employees for their years of service, and I'm going to start with Jeff Wilson. Jeff, you want to come on up? So Jeff is absolutely one of the quietest, most soft-spoken deputies we have. Just quiet, easy to get along with, always has a smile and a grin on his face. He's professional in everything he does. Jeff came to us in 1994 from San Fernando PD, where he spent 2 years. In 1999, he was a field training officer. In 2003, he was the civil coroner deputy. In 2004, Jeff was promoted to sergeant, where he did duties as the admin sergeant in 2010. In 2012, Jeff was the coroner sergeant. And then in 2013, the investigation sergeant. And then in 2015, back to the coroner's division, where he is currently serving. Jeff served on the SWAT team for an amazing 14 years. For those of you that don't know, that is a very demanding position, not only physically but mentally. Most people don't spend that much time on the team, so congratulations on that. And most recently, because of Jeff's experience and expertise in horse training, I have recently selected Jeff to be the supervisor of our newly created mounted unit, the Mounted Patrol Unit. Jeff is tasked not only with creating and developing this new unit, but he's also tasked with the training and certification, excuse me, of the horses and the riders. And which one's easier? That's a toss-up. The one thing that everybody said about you in the mounted unit, that you are clearly in your element and you are having the time of your life in that position. So congratulations. So I'd like to thank Jeff on his 25 years of service to Tuolumne County Sheriff's Office and the citizens of this county. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Why the selection of the picture? That's the question everybody asks.
This was probably what I remember most, my very first trip into Tuolumne County for my oral interview. Looked a little different at the time, but this is the view of the highway going into the area.
We have one more. I will try, yes. So Leanne Castleberry, come on up. You look more nervous than me. I'm the one that has to do all the talking. So Leanne Castleberry has a professional confidence about her that you see every day. She's kind, compassionate. She is competent in everything she does. She's a brilliant dispatcher. She came to us in 1999, where she started as a part-time or relief dispatcher. She was promoted to full-time that same year. And then in 2007, Leanne became the lead dispatcher. She's essentially a supervisor of the shift. When Leanne's on, you know that everything's going to run smoothly and everything's going to come out okay. I went to a couple of your coworkers and asked for a couple comments. Anytime you do that, it's a little iffy. But I have a couple comments I want to share. This is from Nancy Baker. I've worked with Leanne for 20 years. She's fun to work with, very knowledgeable and dependable, and she easily spits up water when told an unexpected joke. So there must be a story behind that. But all kidding aside, she's a great coworker and good friend. From Terry, Leanne has been great to work with. She's always friendly. I have never seen her with a bad attitude. She keeps an open mind, and you can always count on her. The department was smart to hire her. So Leanne, for your 20 years of service to this county, thank you so much. We'll skip that part.
Yes, thank you.
I got to. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 10? Yeah.
This is a presentation of life-saving awards for deputies Alex Zanini and Brian Lee.
Good morning again, Board. Today we are going to present Deputy Alex Zanini and Deputy Brian Lee with the county's or the Sheriff's Office Life Saving Award. And I just want to read the definition of the Life Saving Award. Life Saving Award is to be awarded to any member who performs an exceptional act under emergency conditions, not necessarily involving bravery, wherein a service is rendered that results in the direct sustaining of human life. So, all right, you guys are up here. You guys are on top of things. Excellent. So on September 23rd, and I'm sorry, I'm going to read most of this because I don't want to miss out, of this year at approximately 1:45 p.m., Deputy Zanini and Deputy Brian Lee were dispatched to Sneveno Bridge in Sonora on a report that a woman was contemplating suicide by jumping off the bridge. Our dispatch center was inundated with 911 calls. Deputy Zanini and Lee, along with Sergeant Serrano, responded. Deputy Zanini was the first on scene, followed shortly by Deputy Lee. Deputy Zanini was on one side of the woman, and Deputy Lee was on the other side, separated by approximately 10 feet on either side. The woman was non-cooperative and by this time had stepped over the railing and was standing on the ledge facing the water. She was sweating, wearing loose clothing, which ruled out any type of dynamic rescue, which would be where they would just immediately grab her. They didn't think that would be safe. Due to her, the woman was hysterical. Deputy Zanini negotiated with her for several minutes, pleading with her not to end her life and just to take his hand and step back over the railing. The woman allowed Deputy Zanini to get fairly close to her when he asked her if he could approach. By this time, traffic was backed up on both sides of the bridge. Several boaters were positioning themselves beneath the bridge and apparently planning to rescue the woman should she jump. We also launched boats from Tuttletown to assist. Deputy Zanini kept negotiating, talking back and forth with the woman, pleading with her not to jump. When Deputy Lee chimed in and asked the woman if she would like a bottle of water, she turned to him and said yes. Deputy Zanini asked the woman to take his hand several more times, and after a few more intense moments, she reached out and grabbed his hand. At this point, everyone kept their composure, and the woman was still on the other side of the railing. But now holding Deputy Zanini's hand, she swung her leg over the railing. Both Deputy Zanini and Deputy Lee moved in closer and struggled with her to get her leg over the ledge. The woman was very unsteady and unable to get on her legs, or get on her feet, due to what they believed was an adrenaline dump at the time. She was very excitable. They negotiated with her for approximately 11 minutes during this incident. Once completely over the railing, they walked her back to the patrol car and took her to the hospital for help. And I have a note here from Sergeant Serrano. Sergeant Serrano is the sergeant of our crisis negotiation team. He said, here at the sheriff's office, as someone who has studied psychology and crisis hostage negotiation with a passion, I must say the next thing to a hostage situation, this is the second most difficult type of negotiation that exists. It is one of the most complex negotiations for a wide variety of reasons, ranging from logistics and personal safety. Neither Deputy Zanini or Deputy Lee have any training in this field. Neither of them are on the crisis negotiation team. These two deputies showed extreme poise in the face of the most dynamic and dangerous situations a deputy can be faced with. This woman was left with the feeling that she could still trust us, and that is something we want for every person when we do these types of operations. So, gentlemen, congratulations. Thank you. Eric, would you come up front and help the supervisor? We have a couple certificates. Come over here. We have a couple certificates and medals for the gentleman.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Credit to the sheriff. Thank you, sir, very much. You guys are awesome. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's give him a hand. And that is it for me today. Thank you.
I got to tell you, it's hard to stand there and listen to this stuff and then be able to speak. Would the clerk of the board please read item number 12?
Consideration of approving a contract amendment with Kingsview Behavioral Health Systems for telepsychology services.
You're back.
I'm back. Michael Wilson, Behavioral Health Director. Tuolumne County is required to provide many behavioral health services and is in contract with the state to do so. Kingsview Behavioral Health has provided psychiatric services under contract to Tuolumne County Behavioral Health since 2016. The current contract does not include services related to incompetent to stand trial, and IST services are required of our mental health plan, our contract with the state. Currently, we do not have a psychiatrist or a psychologist to provide IST services. These services include evaluations of competency, evaluations for medications related to competency, preparations and submissions of documentation, and expert testimony. Kingsview is willing to provide these services for us. Should your board choose not to amend the contract, behavioral health would need to find a relief psychologist or psychiatrist and publish a request for a proposal to contract those IST services. There will be no change to the current compensation for Kingsview services. There is no cost to the general fund. The contract will not exceed its current rate of $460,000 per fiscal year. It's a lot of money, but necessary services. It is respectfully recommended that your board approve the contract amendment for telepsychiatry services between the County of Tuolumne and Kingsview.
Okay. Any public comment? Bring it back to the board. Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, just had one question about how many clients make use of telepsychiatry services in a given amount of time.
related to incompetency to stand trial?
Yeah.
Less
Well,
than
this portion of it.
I think we have I'm not really prepared to answer that question directly, but I think we have about 600 clients in medication services. It may be more.
Okay.
And telepsychiatry. For IST, for the incompetent to stand trial, if the sheriff would still hear, he might be able to answer that. But it's probably less than a half dozen per year.
So this is for both. It's telepsychiatry for just regular folks that need that service, and then competency for trial.
Yeah, there's no change to our other telepsychiatry services to meet with a psychiatrist or for medication. This just adds the incompetent to stand trial evaluations and possibly medications for them as well.
Okay. I wasn't trying to put you on the spot. I was trying to just get an idea of
opportunity to explain our services.
To show how many people benefit from these services, since we've kind of gone down this model.
Yes, and it's well received, actually.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you.
Okay. Looking for a motion.
Actually, just have a quick comment and wanted to thank our director, Wilson, for negotiating this. And, we don't have an increase to the contract, but getting this service added. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay. Still looking for a motion.
Move on staff recommendation to approve the contract amendment with Kingsview Behavioral Health Systems for telepsychiatry services in the amount of $460,000.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion by Supervisor Campbell, not Gray, and a second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 4-0. Clerk of the board, please read item number 13.
Consideration of adopting a resolution changing the business hours and the days of operation for the Recorder's Office.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Kanan Whitman, Assessor Recorder, and with me is Carol Jackson, the Assistant Recorder. So today, the Recorder's Office is asking you to consider reducing the business hours for the office. Currently, our office is open Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. with recordings ending at 4 p.m. And we're asking that we reduce the hours from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. The office hours from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. with recording hours stopping at 3 p.m. And so this kind of started back in 2010-11 budget. We had to reduce that department by 1. And it boosted our recordings per staff up to, we average about 104 documents per week per staff member, with other foothill counties being about 70 per week per staff. And we've contemplated on ways of dealing with this. We've been dealing with it for, as we just said, about 8 years. And it's kind of brought on some fatigue where we're starting to notice some errors with our indexing that we want to correct. And it's also caused some overtime in that department. Primarily, Carol Jackson probably doesn't get out of here on average till about 5:30 or 6 for going on several years now. And last year when the state mandate or implemented SB2, it increase the time it takes us to record, because now we have to review the documents to determine whether or not that tax is applicable or not. But mostly it's a lot more time in educating the public for that tax. And it's just increased the hours that it takes for us to record a document, and it has throughout the state. And so I never want to reduce hours of operation to the public. It's never something that I desire to do or really want to do, but we were just really looking at how to best handle the workload in our office. And we've contemplated maybe shutting down during lunch, but that really wouldn't be solving the main problem, which is the recording hours ending at 4 and pretty much the reconciling of the daily recordings, weekly and monthly, at the end of each day. And we do feel that this is the best way forward to continue to meet the demands. And anything you want to add? All right. And we did send out an email to all the title reps, all the local attorneys, letting them know, asking for comment. We did receive 2 emails. None of them were negative comments, just more saying thank you for notifying us, and please let us know when these hours change.
Okay. Supervisor Gray?
A quick question. What you say certainly makes sense. But just curious of how many actual recordings you have after 4 o'clock?
So typically we'll get a batch that comes in around 4 o'clock, and it kind of depends on how big the batch is. At the high end, it can take up to 40 minutes to go ahead and record and index those. And then there's public interruptions that happen as you're trying to reconcile the number of recordings, because we collect for a lot of different fees for a lot of different departments and for the state, and we have to make sure that every single dollar goes in the correct trust account. And that reconciliation period can take a while, can take some time depending on how many recordings happen through the day. And with the interruptions, that's what's really been causing the delay of Connie, our one staff member, staying late, and Carol pretty much staying late every single day. And in addition to, we're in a little bit of a training period right now. We just had one of our long-term document examiners retire, and we are looking to replace her. We do have a candidate, and we hope to get her started in training within the next 2 weeks, and that'll help. And we are also still working on getting e-recording up and running, and once e-recording's up and running, we can take a look at our workload again and revisit this to see if we can go ahead and extend the hours that we're open to the public. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for the explanation on e-recording, because that was one of the questions I had, is what impact that
Yeah, we are working with IT right now to just really get that up and running. We're still waiting for the Department of Justice to come and audit us. They're waiting on a couple questions from our IT department, and we're pushing as fast as we can to get it up and running.
Okay. Looking for public comment. Bring it back to the board. Looking for a motion.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Campbell. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Passes 4-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks for taking care of Keenan. Okay, will the clerk of the board please read item number 14?
Consideration of approving an employment agreement with Kim McFarland, appointing her as the Tuolumne County Public Works Director.
Good morning, Tracy Riggs, County Administrator's Office, and with me is Kim McFarland. So as part of the fiscal year 1920 budget, we looked at many different ways that we could reorganize, restructure, streamline, and become more efficient with the resources that we had. Part of that was a reorganization of the Community Resources Agency. What we did was we actually created 2 separate agencies there, and in order to make that work, what we ended up needing to do is have 2 directors for both of those departments. On September 17th, your board held interviews. You did interview, one of the candidates was our Kim McFarland, and she did a great job, and your board directed County Council and myself to begin negotiating a contract for her. Part of her overview and her site for the new Public Works Department is roads administration and the road maintenance programs that they run, the road construction capital, solid waste, the county surveyor and GIS, and airports. And am I forgetting anything? No, I think that's all of them. Great. So with that, I want to make sure those who are listening and who don't know Kim actually has her bachelor's degree in English literature, and then she received her master's of engineering from the University of California, Berkeley. It's also, for those who don't know Kim, I have found her to be a breath of fresh air. She's come in with a fresh perspective. She's open, she's direct, she clearly communicates, she's goal-driven. She also offers a new perspective as she comes in from the private sector. And she's always looking for ways to improve with her and her staff, and then ways to partner in the community and within our agency as a county. With that being said, what I'd like to do is just talk about the proposed compensation package that is before you that we're asking you to approve. Her starting salary is at range 572, the E-step, which is $71.91 per hour. Just for those who don't know, this is actually the rate she was currently making as the assistant CRA director. So Kim did not receive an increase in her pay range for taking this job on. She has been credited for 10 years of county service, and she will also be eligible for all other benefits as outlined in the executive compensation compensation plan. So with that being said, we are asking that you would consider approving this contract with Kim. It would begin September 29th and would expire on September 28th, 2024. This is for a 5-year contract.
Okay, any public comment?
Well, I've been impressed with Kim since she got here, and she saved my life today. So I've been really impressed with the things that she wasn't familiar with, and she just dives in and learns about them. And, you know, there are some things that I'm not particularly happy about as a member of the public, but she always addresses them. And when people have come to talk to me from the outside, little public citizens, she gets back to them like in a day. I've just been so impressed. So please hire her.
Anyone else? Okay, any comments from the board? Go ahead, Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, and I just in a very short period of time, I've received a number of positive feedback from constituents in my area who've had either interactions with Kim or with her staff, and just to see that, you know, and some of the things that Carol brought up, your responsiveness and your ability to listen, and if you don't have the answer to a question, going out and researching until you find it. I've heard that from others unsolicited. So, yeah, I'm very supportive of this hire. I think she's going to do a great job and has shown real dedication to that department.
Supervisor Gray?
Yes, and I too appreciate the response. I know I've been kind of a pain occasionally, but hopefully all of those problems will go away eventually when all the work gets done. And welcome, and looking forward to working with you.
Supervisor Brennan?
Yeah, Kim is kind of like the Energizer Bunny out there. I just don't know how she does it. But I certainly do appreciate your response to any of the pieces that I forward you. Within 24 hours, you have somebody looking and analyzing and responding. And so I just really appreciate that and look forward to you in this position.
Thank you.
I'll be kind. For good reason. You deserve it. Everything everybody said is absolutely true, and I've experienced the same thing. I just hope I've been a little bit bigger pain than John has been. So, no, I'm just kidding there too.
Probably are.
Probably, yeah. But no, you've done a super job so far. Got a little bit more a lot more responsibility now that you're in charge of something for sure. Looking forward to working with you still, and keep up the good work. And for her staff, listen to her. She's got some good ideas that are maybe different than what we've done in the past, but, you know, give them a chance and work hard for her, and she'll definitely be working hard for you. So thank you very much. I don't even, given the response from the board members so far, I think it's only a formality that we need a motion, but I'm looking for one.
Move on staff recommendation.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Supervisor Campbell, second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? It's 4-0. Congratulations. Now go get back to work.
Thank you very much, Board and CEO Riggs. I am really looking forward to working with all of you and the community. And, of course, it's our amazing Public Works team that does all this, so thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Okay. Would the clerk of the board please read our closed session items?
Okay. So, closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code Section 54969D1, Hope Maggie et al. Versus Tuolumne County, United States District Court, Central District of California, case number 219CV07884 CJCSK. And another conference with legal counsel, existing litigation is the same authority, government code. In this case, is Central Sierra Environmental Resources Center versus County of Tuolumne et al., Tuolumne County Superior Court case number CV 62142. And then we have a public employee appointment, Authority Government Code Section 54957B1, Human Services Agency Director.
Public comment on any of the closed session items? Okay, do we anticipate a report out?
On at least one item, yes.
Okay. And we will be back for our 10:30 appointment, so we are in recess into closed session. Thank you very much. Let's take no more than 5 minutes, please.
Budget.
Staff
Good-
report.
Good morning. I'm
morning.
Kelly Schroeder, the Air Pollution Control Officer with Tuolumne County. On September 19th, 2019, your board conducted a public hearing to review the 2019-2020 Air Pollution Control District budget and to receive comments from the public. California Health and Safety Code sections 40130-40131 require a second hearing to adopt the budget. This hearing is to adopt the budget as the Tuolumne County Air Pollution Control District Board. A copy of the final air pollution control budget that was formally adopted on September 2019 as part of the county's budget is included as attachment A in the board letter for the hearing conducted on October 1st, outlining that budget. So it's recommended that your board, after conducting the public hearing, adopt the Air Pollution Control District 2019-2020 budget.
Okay. Any board questions before I go to the public? Members of the public, any comments? Bring it back to the board. Looking for a motion.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Rutherford, did we open and close the public?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Open the public hearing. Now I'll go back to the public. Okay. Seeing no public comment, I'll close the public hearing. Supervisor Gray, would you like to continue?
Air pollution control budget.
Okay. Okay, I've got a motion by Supervisor Gray, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstain? 4-0. I thought I did pretty well getting into the Air Pollution Control District. I'm going to adjourn the Air Pollution Control District meeting and reconvene the Board of Supervisors meeting, and we'll go to reports. So starting with Ms. Jamar.
Reports. Actually, I will be out of the office for 2 weeks. I'll be traveling on vacation.
To France, I understand.
Yes, to France.
Wonderful. Enjoy the wine. County Council.
Sure. So the items we've been working on the last few weeks, Carlin attended an environmental law conference. Last week, we have been meeting, or I met yesterday with CAO board members, probation, with the chair of the BSCC and some of her staff. We've also been spending a lot of time working on the tax measure issues and, of course, helping the CAO and HR deal with the power outage issues. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. CAO.
As County Council brought up with the power outage, we have, as always, some incredible staff who always pull it together and manage to work through just about anything. So at the power outage, our department heads were fantastic. Their staff as well. If you came into this building, you would have seen our office became not only county administration, but we also had district attorney's office, victim witness, and then Sarah's as well. So county council and I shared our offices. Down in HR, you would have the public defender's office, and then we had probation, members of the probation team up here. And we had in this building, we had CRA and some public works staff. And everyone just put their workstations together and they made it work. We had Human Services was at the EOC and they were doing great work as well. So everyone did fantastic. I just want to make sure that we say thank you to them for pulling that together for us and for everyone who supported us to make that happen. The other thing is on October 4th, we had our annual Employee Appreciation Barbecue. We always have several hundred, I shouldn't say several. We anywhere between 300 to 500 of our staff and their families come for this. This is a great time that we get to connect with everyone and make sure that we say thank you. But what I do want to also do is give a big shout out to Christina Cunha in our office. Christina puts that together pretty much single-handedly. Most of us in our office just show up and then we do what she tells us to do, and members of the departments from other teams out there. So I know Christina's not here today, but I want her to know how much we all appreciate her. And then finally, for those of you who've been coming to the Meet the CAO, those have been good. I've been able to meet with and talk with some other members of the public that I don't normally get to speak with. The next one will be at the Zoe Coffee Shop in Miwok. So now I will be traveling around the county to try and reach out and get to know people. And then the other thing we'll begin doing in probably mid-November is kind of a traveling road show where there'll be more of us. And we'll be doing, I'm calling it kind of like meet your local government. So learn about our services, meet our staff, learn about budget, what kind of revenues do we get, and how are those revenues spent. So I'll be working with each of you as we begin planning in your districts, but I don't plan just to do one in each district. We'll be doing them in different communities. So again, that for me is really about breaking down barriers so that people can begin to know who is county administration, who are your department heads, and how are we utilizing the resources that our community and our taxpayers are giving us the privilege of working with. So, and with that, I think I'm done.
Thank you. And Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, so I guess the big element last week was the power outage. So that kind of put the kibosh on a lot of the committees that I normally would be serving on during that period of time. So I took the opportunity to get out in the community. For whatever reason, we had several kind of block parties, street community meetings in my district. So it's a good opportunity to get out there and talk to folks and see what their concerns are. A lot of child care issues came up last week. I sat in on the Child Care Planning Council, which is the first time I was able to make it to that meeting, and I heard an amazing presentation about the apprenticeship program that's run through Columbia College for early childhood development. Just really phenomenal program they have out there, providing apprenticeships for people that are interested in either getting jobs in daycare or youth programs, or they even give training for people that want to start their own daycare business. And a lot of the people that are trained in that program come right back to our community. And as anybody who's tried to find a babysitter or get child care in Tuolumne County knows, that's a pretty clear need that we have here. Also sat in on the First Five Commission and heard the presentation about the sudden infant death syndrome, and I thought that was an important thing to bring to the Board of Supervisors as well. And that's my report.
Okay. Supervisor Gray?
Okay. Last Thursday the 3rd, I attended a ribbon cutting ceremony at the Groveland Firehouse. The Sonora Area Foundation donated, I believe it was about $20,000 to help pay for a machine that fills oxygen tanks. And it's the tanks that are used to go into buildings. And prior to that, they had to be filled with one that would be hauled up, or the tanks hauled someplace else. And as Chief Murphy stated there, it's important to have those full tanks available all the time for training and other things. So kudos to Sonora Area Foundation for their donation. Interesting week last week with the power outages. I'm sure, filling up generators, dragging cords was part of everybody's life if they happen to have a generator. I think one of the things that and I know we're going to do this, is do a lesson learned on this and try to figure out whether a fire outage for wind is more important than removing the vegetation that burns. So I think we need to really look at that. And now that my computer just went blank here, we'll see where else. I think that's pretty much of significant. Other than one other thing is, on the second Monday of the month, I still have Groveland office hours, at the youth center. Anyone in the district that wants to come by and talk about any issue, please feel free to do so. If you want to call for an appointment, do that too. It is helpful. So I'm there. Looking forward to seeing you. That's it.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, so I want to follow up on what CAO Riggs said about our remarkable staff that worked during the power outage, and also really want to thank all of the community partners that participated in that. There was a tremendous effort with, so many agencies, and when you start thanking people, then you run the risk of forgetting folks that did some very important work. But TUD, Sonora Regional Medical Center, we had grocery stores that stayed open, I think the 99-cent store, Save Mart, Walmart. Again, I know I'm missing a couple of the restaurants stayed open, just really trying to provide some services, Percos, and greatly appreciated all of the effort, and a lot of those folks went and spent resources to help us do that, getting generators, and it just it's very much appreciated. And again, I know that we'll have a full report on all of those that participated in helping in that effort. Over the last 3 weeks, there have been a number of fourth graders walking around downtown Sonora. Downtown Sonora puts on the fourth grade history tour, and amongst everything else that was going on, it was a wonderful opportunity to get to participate and present because the Sug House is one of those stops, and that's always fun. And we need to remember the tremendous cultural heritage that we have in this community right here in the city of Sonora. And so it's a highlight for my family to get to participate in that, and I think it's a wonderful event put on by just a tremendous group of volunteers. I attended the Two Care Natural Resource Summit on Thursday at the fairgrounds, and we talk an awful lot about the science behind the vegetation situation that we have going on, both on the forest and the SRA. This year's summit really did concentrate on the SRA effort, and sadly, the attendance was somewhat moderate. And that's unfortunate because they had panel discussions with so many experts and folks that have done so much to understand how we move this vegetation management piece forward. And so I think this is a yearly event that they put on, and just would really encourage the public when that summit is occurring, if you can attend, very, very valuable information about what's going on both the public lands and the SRA. With that, I was on, and my screen is gone black now, a phone conference with the Tree Mortality Working Group that I am a part of, that's held in Sacramento. And a lot of conversation because that Tree Mortality Working Group is now morphing into what is going to be hopefully a Sierra Nevada vegetation government working group. And with the highlight really being the takeaway is that it's going to be all levels of government. And so as it's morphing the next couple of months, we'll be really trying to articulate with the governor's office what the importance is, how we need to move the success of what we had with the tree mortality working group, because it was a tremendous success across the Sierra Nevadas and especially here in Tuolumne County, but how we morph that now into a larger vegetation working group that covers SRA, the WUI, and our public lands. And then also participated in a meeting with Linda Penner and a few other folks yesterday, really talking about some solutions or looking for some solutions with regards to funding opportunities for our juvenile hall and our the Motherlode Regional Juvenile Detention Center, and wide recognition about the value that it's a resource. It's a resource for us regionally, but how do we make it financially viable so that it is an asset? We don't want to lose that in Tuolumne County, but we have to have our partners be part of the solution. And so that's my report.
Okay. Last weekend was a busy weekend. I think Saturday had more events in Tuolumne County than any normal week would normally have. I spent, and I'm not going to go through all of them, but I did spend some time at Festifall in Columbia. It's a wonderful event. If you missed it this year, make sure you make it next year. I did attend the fundraiser for our county search and rescue program, Annie Oakley Academy. It's run by a woman I know very well. It was a really good success in spite of losing probably about 30 attendees due to the power outage, we think. But they still managed to raise pretty near as much, if not maybe a little bit more. I don't think she's got the final count yet. As much money as they did last year. So it was a good event. I also attended, I went down and stopped by the Jamestown Fire Station on Saturday, which was the second of the two events that they had on Sunday and Saturday, the previous Sunday and then Saturday. I think the Sunday one was up in Groveland. Advertising, celebrating, getting the word out, whatever. The Fire Prevention Week that we had approved at our previous board meeting. All of that was on Saturday, so I was like a ping pong ball going around the county. The big thing that I've done some other stuff, but the big thing that I want to reiterate is meeting with Linda Penner, the chair of the board for the BSCC, and our staff. And we talked in great detail about our juvenile detention facility, the value that it adds. I heard a statistic at one time, and I wish Linda Downey was here to confirm it. I don't think we've had a recidivism since that place opened, okay? Everybody they've treated has gone straight. The one message that Linda and her staff brought yesterday was, if this isn't the best, it is right up there with the very best programs anywhere in the state, okay? They love our juvenile detention facility. The major issue is it was conceived of and built as a regional juvenile detention facility, and we need it to be funded like a regional juvenile detention facility, not a Tuolumne County detention facility that helps out some other counties when they need it. So we're looking into that. And Linda, Ms. Penner, took that message away loud and clear. I took the opportunity also while she was here, since she was also instrumental in getting us both elements of grant funding for our jail. We did a little no-notice tour of our new jail facility. She enjoyed that, although she got, if you've been out to the construction site, it's not firmly packed ground. She got a little dust on her very nice dress shoes, but I'm sure she can clean them off. But she did enjoy that as well. So it was really a good opportunity. One, to thank her for her personal efforts, unbiased efforts to help us get some funding for our jail, but also to highlight some of the financial challenges that we're facing with our juvenile detention facility, as great a program as it is. And it really is. If there's any member of the public that doesn't believe that we should be operating that facility and doing it the way we are, I would enjoin you to call Linda Downey and get a tour of our facility. Everybody, and I mean everybody that I know that has ever toured it, even people that walked in the door wanting to shut that place down, walked out knowing the true value of what is being done out there. So it's very, very important. And we got our time with Ms. Penner and her staff, and it was a great, I think, opportunity for us. So that's my report, and it happens to be 11 o'clock. So would the clerk of the board please read our 11 o'clock appointment?
This is presentation of the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors priorities for 2019 third quarter.
Just a second. Since we normally do reports, County Council, since we normally do reports when there's nobody here, should I be taking public comment on our reports? Normally you can. Okay. I will ask for public comment on the reports since I got a hand wave out there.
Good morning, Kathleen Half, candidate for District 4 Supervisor, and thank you for asking because I did want to make a comment. I wanted to publicly acknowledge Liz Peterson for the work that she did during the PG&E outage. I've heard, I'm in the community a lot lately, and I've been hearing from community partners that she did a phenomenal job with the organizations and the agencies out there, and it was very much appreciated. And I even had an example of that where I needed to ask her something, and she responded very soon. I didn't even expect to hear from her because I knew, as a former OES coordinator myself, I know what she was saddled with. So I just wanted to publicly acknowledge that Liz, and I'm sure she was backed by the whole CAO office, did a phenomenal job. Thank you.
Thank you. And she is awesome. Okay, reread the 11 o'clock appointment, please.
Presentation of the Tuolumne County Board of Supervisors priority of 2019 third quarter.
Staff report.
All right, good morning, members of the board. Mr. Chairman, Eric Hart with the County Administrator's Office. I'm here today to provide a report on the board priorities. As you know, earlier this year, your board identified the priorities for this year with 6 focus areas. First being the external, fire preparedness, land use, road improvements, and vulnerable populations. Internally, employee development, which we'll hear more about later, as well as county infrastructure. Attached to this report, you have several documents that were filled out by individual departments, summarizing the work that they completed during this recent quarter and how it aligns with your priorities. So at this time, I would like to invite some of those departments to come up and share with you in a little bit more detail some of the work that they've completed. I'd like to start with our Ag Commissioner.
Good morning. I am Kelly Schroeder, the Ag Commissioner. I'm also the Air Pollution Control Officer and Animal Control Director, so I will be reporting on all 3 right now. As for the Ag Department, we continue to be a team for the Fire Resiliency Task Force, and our staff listened in on a public webinar of the Range Management Advisory Committee regarding grazing and land management for fire suppression. For fire preparedness for air pollution control, they initiated the fall prescribed burn program with federal and state land managers to reduce fuels and fuel loading through open burning and other alternatives. They continue to provide the public with up-to-date burn, no burn information and work closely with CAL FIRE in the messaging of open burning and the risk of wildfires. They also deployed 11 portable air quality monitors to the Tuolumne County school districts, and they also continue to be a team member on the Fire Safety and Resiliency Task Force. And they're continuing interagency work with other air regulators and land managers in providing more opportunities for burning while reducing the risk of smoke impacts to the public.
Kelly, do you know how many acres are going to be part of that burn? Do you know how many total acres are going to be part of controlled burns this fall?
No, I'll have to ask my deputy, Bill. Okay. He has a spreadsheet on that, I believe. So I will find that out for you. For county infrastructure for air pollution control, they continue to provide funding through DMV fees allocated to the Air District and passed along to County Public Works and other agencies for fleet modernization by replacing old and polluting on-road trucks and off-road equipment. And for vulnerable populations for air pollution control, they continue to implement and accept applications to reduce residential wood smoke and other under the provisions of the district's wood stove grant program while providing needed funding for Tuolumne County residents. And they continue to implement the stationary source permit program, protecting sensitive receptors, vulnerable citizens, and the general public from harmful air pollution. And for air control under fire preparedness, they continue to be a member of the Fire Resiliency Task Force.
You mentioned the grant program for how much money is available, or do we still have money available under that program?
So we spent all of our money from last year. We have a new grant from this year that is still in process, but we have been told to expect approximately $125,000 for the wood stove smoke program, but we have not received our grant contract yet.
All right, thank you.
Do you advertise that through Area 12, the Agency on Aging?
I'm not sure. I'll have to ask Bill, as
That
this is
might
my
be
first go through on
that
it.
might be a spot that we should be.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Any other questions?
I don't see any.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your report.
Thank you. The Community Development Department.
Good morning. Quincy Yaley is on vacation this week, so I'm filling in for her. I'm Sheila Shanahan, the Housing and Community Development Programs Manager. So you have the report before you, which Quincy wrote before she left. The Community Development Department continues to work on the general plan lawsuit with County Council. We also applied for an approximately $160,000 planning grant with the new SB2 state funds. And those funds will be used to update Title 17, which is the county zoning code, to streamline residential development for both market rate and affordable housing. Those same SB2 grant funds will also be used to craft an accessory dwelling unit ordinance for the county. We're working now on an RFP to hire a consultant, and we'll issue it as soon as we have the SB2 funds. We have heard from the State Department of Housing and Community Development, which administers the SB2 funds, that our application has been accepted and approved, and we hope to have a grant agreement by the end of this year. Our housing element was also approved by the State Department of Housing and Community Development, and we're beginning work on implementing some of those programs, and those SP2 funds will be used in large part for some of those activities. The RFP that I mentioned for the Title 17 work is also going to include updating the Climate Action Plan to help address fire preparedness. CDD staff is working with the Resiliency Center and their desire to serve vulnerable populations. Staff also expedited a review of a zone change to facilitate the sale of a parcel in Jamestown that may be proposed for an affordable housing project where a portion of the units will be reserved for vulnerable populations. And then finally, CDD staff is working on a $75,000 census grant to do outreach to hard-to-reach populations to help ensure that all people in the county are counted in the census and that institutions such as school and government receive their fair share of public funds that are allocated based on those census figures. Staff has recently entered into a contract with ATCA, who will be doing the bulk of the outreach. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
I see none. Thank you very much for your report.
All right, thank you. I'd invite Liz Peterson up to talk about OES from the County Administrator's Office.
Hello.
You've been busy.
Yeah. So, yeah, just to speak briefly on what we've been doing related to the fire preparedness goal of your board, you get regular updates from me here, so I won't get too far into it, but, the Fire Safety and Community Resilience Task Force continues to meet monthly. As you know, the task force developed their work plan, and they are actively working on that, accomplishing those goals to achieve the 6 kind of issues that we talked about: water infrastructure, ingress, egress, those kinds of things.
So, Liz, is there, if I'm John Q. Citizen sitting out there and I'm interested in this, is there somewhere that I can go to see what those goals are and say on an updated schedule, someplace on our website where I can see how we're doing on that?
Yeah, beyond the board agenda packets, no. So maybe let's add that.
I think
make
it's
it a little.
I think it might be a high interest item. I'm not sure.
Yeah, probably.
Probably. Yeah.
So, well, related to that, we also have the Citizens Advisory Committee that has met twice now. And that committee has also developed a work plan, and that information we will have on our website. We're working to add a whole page for that committee. But it's not the task force stuff. So, but the committee, like I said, does continue to meet monthly, and they have put together some excellent ideas and plans to really engage the citizens. That's the goal of that committee, and they have a variety of different things. And we'll be meeting, just for the public's information, tomorrow at 3:30 here, if anyone's interested in participating in that committee.
Great. I'll take a look at the possibility of doing something on our website.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. So we've been updating our website with all kinds of stuff, and we'll continue to. And then also just want to let you know the Master Stewardship Agreement that I mentioned earlier today. We have completed now 2 fuel reduction projects, and those are in the communities of Miwok and then kind of outside of the Long Barn area. And then we have 3 projects that are in process. So 2 contracts have been awarded, and 1 we will be working on to award here very shortly. And then we continue, as you know, to apply for additional grants to do more fuel reduction work. And I do plan to next month do a robust update on where we're at with the Master Stewardship Agreement. But just so you know, this is, when we talk about fire preparedness in the county, we have the private lands piece and the homeowners and engaging the community, but then we also have the public lands piece. And so we're doing work on both. So just for your board's information. And then lastly, I think I mentioned
just
this.
a second. So for the public's benefit, those projects that are being done under the Master Stewardship Agreement are in addition to the regular scope of work.
Correct. That is correct. Yeah. So these projects are all above and beyond. And I should mention, while we technically have 2 fuel reduction projects that are complete, we have a timber sale that we, through the Master Stewardship Agreement, did all of the cruising and layout, and the Forest Service has published that sale, and it would not have gone out if we had not done that initial prep work. So the sale is out for bid right now if anyone wants to purchase some lumber.
And just to Sherry's point, Supervisor Brennan's point, I know of one project in my district off of Parrots Ferry Road that is, I think it's still in progress, but it's either still in progress or it's completed, that was done this year. So there's other things beyond that the county is doing.
Yeah, and I think that's a partnership with the Fire Safe Council and PG.
Exactly.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, and that's part of the task force, and the great thing about the task force is that we come together and coordinate our efforts of all the work that these folks are doing. And then lastly, I think I mentioned, but the county was awarded a grant from the BLM. So we now have a Good Neighbor Authority agreement with BLM, which, similar to the Master Stewardship Agreement, gives the county the authority to do work, hazard fuel reduction work on BLM parcels. And so we will be strategically selecting those parcels along with projects that are already happening to make sure that we can tie in a larger project and fill in some of those gaps with the BLM island parcels. So.
And I have a question on that, since we're all interrupting you.
That's fine.
Will the public have? I know, and congratulations on that.
Thanks.
Good Neighbor Agreement with BLM. That's a pretty huge. Big. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
So well done on that. Will the public have an opportunity to voice their opinions about where that work should be, or I mean, will the I know it's kind of the early stages of how we're going to arrange this, but will there be a chance to kind of get some public input on how that's going to be rolled out? Because I know the Scotch broom is the big problem everybody I've talked to has complained about, that it's just really taking over some of these BLM parcels, especially up, Big Hill, Yankee Hill
Yeah.
kind of area.
Sure. I mean, I think the more input, the better. At this point, I think the strategy was looking at projects that are already funded or about to be funded, and then just coordinating, like I said, filling in those gaps. And so one of the locations actually is that if your board remembers at the last meeting, the Tuolumne County RCD, in partnership with the Forest Service, is applying for a fuel reduction project in the Cedar Ridge kind of Big Hill area. And so the plan was to start there with those parcels to help, that'll be on Forest Service property. But so filling in the BLM parcels that are kind of in and amongst, and then also the grant from this morning along the Tuolumne up the 108 corridor to the south of the highway, filling in those BLM parcels also. But certainly I think, let's hear public's opinion on that too. No issue with that, I think.
And would they reach out to you directly?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions?
That's all good stuff.
All right. I'll also add in that.
Thank you, Liz.
Sorry. In your packet, you have a couple of reports from our Deputy County Administrator, Mo Frank, but she can't be here today, so I'll just briefly tell you that we are about 75% complete on the jail project, with completion still estimated to be mid-January of 2020, and she continues to work forward on the community resiliency centers as well. So with that, I'd invite County Council up.
As she's walking up, make sure Linda Penner gets an invitation to our jail opening.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Good morning, Sarah Carrillo, County Council. So this is always a little bit awkward because so much of the work we do is confidential. So we do a ton of work, but in terms of your priorities, I can only speak publicly about some of them. So we've been working on the general plan litigation. We also worked with the CAO's office on the fire fee and tax issue. So we did a lot of legal review there, and we also met with the CAO, a couple of board members, and RCRC and other regional partners on fire preparedness issues. We worked closely with the CAO on the potential tax measures that your board will consider later today. As always, we continue to represent social services, behavioral health, in dependency matters, conservatorship matters, behavioral health issues. And then also we've been working on a daily basis on the opioid litigation, and that's with a national consortium of public entities. So we continue to do that daily. Thank you.
Thank you. So you were saying that you could tell us, but then you'd have to kill us. Is that it? Yeah. Okay.
All right. Thank you. Fire.
I had to make sure it was still morning. Good morning again. Andrew Murphy, Assistant Fire Chief.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure. Just wanted to go over a few things. There was some stuff covered in the monthly report that occurred in September, but this, of course, covers the previous quarter. So speaking of grants, we've been talking about grants. Frequently, we're still riding that wave. Very positive things have been happening. We're still waiting to hear back on approximately $1.4 million worth of grants, but it does appear that money's all been allocated. So we'll see how that pans out. We haven't been told no yet, so there's still a chance. But in the 12-month period, the fire department secured $839,000 worth of grants. And one of the latest grants that we received was the California Fire Foundation and PG&E grant for $15,000, and I haven't spoke much about it. We received it also last year, and that funding allowed us to hire 2 part-time temporary defensible space inspectors. So they worked this summer during the fire season for about 10 or 11 weeks, about 10 and a half weeks. 2 of them part-time temporary fire inspector ones, and they performed approximately 600 inspections during that period of time throughout the county. We've also been participating very much, working towards the goals of the board on fire preparedness with our education and prevention campaign. And just a few of the activities that we participated in was the Tuolumne County Fair, the Senior Fair, Columbia College Volunteer Resident Firefighter Recruitment Academy, or Columbia College Academy Resident Firefighter Recruitment. I Words got mixed up there. And basically, that's an opportunity for the college fire students, the academy students, to come to Sonora where they go through interviews and physical ability exam, like an exam, something that they might do for a career department later on in their career, but it also gives the local fire departments that have interns and residents or may have permanent positions the opportunity to view those candidates, and they might be able to end up with a job locally out of it as well. It's a good experience. Also, staff prepared for Fire Prevention Week that was mentioned the first week of October, and working on the purchase of the fire engine that with funds allocated through the board of directors and the budget process, or board of supervisors. And then also working on, as county council mentioned, a long-term strategic plan and the funding and stabilizing the budget for the fire department. We mentioned social media and many meetings. So just a few. We've been working with the Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools on the Safe Schools project with Supervisor Brennan and Campbell. Jamestown Fire Protection District board meetings, Healthcare and Safety Coalition, which also reaches out with the vulnerable populations, which is one of the other items on the board's priorities. And as part of that Healthcare and Safety Coalition, also the Evacuation and Sheltering Working Group, the Tuolumne County Fire Advisory Committee, the Tuolumne County Fire Chiefs Association. We worked on the Groveland Community Services District, County Fire and CAL Fire, Fire Prevention Week, First Responder Day last Sunday. We've been working with the Sheriff's Office and the Superintendent of Schools on the upcoming drugstore project. Also the Homeland Security Grant, Fire Safety and Community Resilience Committee, and the Columbia College Fire Advisory Committee, just a few of the meetings that we go to every month. And then to close out in the last quarter, from July to the end of September, 1,617 incidents within the jurisdiction of the county fire, including nearly 1,200 medical aids and 150 fires. That's all I have.
That's all?
That's all. There's more.
Great report. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Airports. All of GSA. It's all yours.
All right, Daniel Richardson, General Services Agency Director. I think we still exist. So on the airport, we had a significant $4 million capital improvement project that is in its finishing stages right now. We're calling it substantial completion. This is an FAA and county-funded taxi lane rehabilitation project. We addressed 250,000 square feet of pavement. We also reconstructed the taxi lanes that feed into the hangar areas. These are money makers, the hangars. We also put in 40,000 square feet of aircraft new, repaved the parking area, installed a new 36-inch force main to facilitate drainage. We really put the airport in a very good position for many years in the future in certain areas. We probably touched, I'll bet you, a third of the airport pavement out there in one way or another. So it was a very significant project, and we're grateful that the county and the FAA came together and the state to help fund this project.
I got to tell you, probably 90% of the residents in Tuolumne County have never been on that airport, except for maybe some public event or whatever. But those taxiways were in absolutely cruddy shape, and they look way, really nice right now. So, and just for those that are wondering why we didn't put that money into the roads, it's because it's matched with FAA money that only cares about airports. Okay, so we were able to get the money and we did the work. So, but please pass on to the staff out there that good job on that.
Yes, we'll do. Want to do library? Okay, out at the library, this is a great summer. We had 555 kids from the ages of 0 to 12 years old participate in our summer reading program. and we had about half of those actually finish it. We had this is our new part, we had 311 adults participate in the first ever adult summer reading program. So that was fabulous. New things that we have that help some of the populations. We have 6 Chromebooks that are being, we'll call them dispatched to each of our 4 libraries, and they're for the census taking, and they'll be checked out within the library to participate in the census, and for other reasons as we move away from the census. They'll still be our Chromebooks. We also have a new service called Tutor.com that not many people know about. It's live homework help in the afternoons from 3 to 10 p.m. And I've heard they can do anything from simple math to calculus. So they also do resume and cover letter help for those who need help in those areas. So Tutor.com, all you need is your library card number, and you can get in for free. So great for the vulnerable populations. Could do veterans? All right. In the Veterans Agency, they're coordinating efforts to apply for a grant with veterans housing and homelessness prevention involved in it. So we're hopeful they'll be successful in that area. The veterans are out at the health fair right now. So moving on to recreation, we had an excellent recreation season. This summer was phenomenal as all others. We are so grateful the summer recreation program worked. We are grateful for the Sonora Area Foundation for their grant that they gave us towards being able to rent out Casino High to host that program. We're thankful for Sonora Union High School District. They lowered the fee for it. We're also grateful for our amazing patient employees who hung on until the last second so we could hire them and bring them on to serve our 133 children who participated in that summer program. Also, just wanted to mention in terms of capital, we did complete the concession stand at Standard Park, and that is operational. When I'm there each Saturday, it's wonderful. I'm seeing lines all the way from the concession stand to the backstop, 10 people deep, purchasing items from there. So it's wildly successful compared to other years because we've never seen that many people at the concession stand buying things.
You got a great vendor.
Yes, we do. They're wonderful. Also, just want to mention in terms of serving those populations, the at-risk youth soccer is back in full swing. We have 1,000 kids out there every Saturday participating. Anyway, we had a great summer season of many events in the recreation programs. I believe that's everybody.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next will be Human Service Agency.
Welcome.
Good morning. Steve Boyack from the Human Services Agency. We have 4 reports that we'd like to make before your board today. I will be carrying out the ambulance report. We'll have Michael Wilson doing behavioral health. Lisa Heeb-Stock will do public health, and we'll finish with Rebecca Espino. She will report out on the Department of Social Services, of course, concerning your board's priorities concerning fire preparedness in vulnerable populations. So from an ambulance, EMS, and emergency planning perspective, our county Healthcare Safety Coalition meets regularly with our membership and our partnership. 2 items I would like to bring to your board's attention that continue to be worked on through the coalition are planning activities concerning access and functional need persons in the event of evacuation, concerning a wildfire or some other disaster. And we were in the midst of planning for a public safety power shut-off event that occurred. So we actually were able to exercise in a real-world exercise last week. So more to come on that. We will be working with the County Administrator's Office and the Office of Emergency Services once we do an after-action review so we can report out our lessons learned from a human services point of view. I'll remind your board that the ambulance system, 80% of our transports are vulnerable populations, if you will. 62% of our transports make up the Medicare group, and 18% of our transports make up the Medi-Cal group. And during the reporting period, we transported 880 folks that were on Medicare and 311 folks that are on Medi-Cal. I bring that to your attention because the majority of those transports don't necessarily do we get reimbursement for the entire cost of those transports. So our ambulance system is an enterprise fund, but it's a balancing act to say the least to make sure that the fund stays solvent. So with that, I'll answer any questions you have. All right, Michael Wilson.
Welcome back again.
Good morning again, Board Chair. Michael Wilson, Behavioral Health Director. You will notice on my report there's kind of an absence of numbers because I didn't want to present how many therapy sessions we did or crises or aversions or that kind of stuff without being able to put that into context and make meaning of it, how well people are, if they're better off or not. So behavioral health is working on our dashboards. We have a wealth of information through our electronic health record. And so next time around, we'll have a little more detail and try to make it meaningful for you instead of just saying how much we do, which, I could throw out any number and it wouldn't be, you want to know if that was good or bad. We are making efforts with our FSP program to have our clinician and other staff, of course, be in the community and do a lot of outreach and serve those that are the most vulnerable, some of our most ill clients. We've had success in inroads in getting into the schools, working with the superintendent, and I think we just launched into Curtis Creek. We have staff elsewhere, all with a mind that it's sustainable and fiscally sound to do this, because we are, as I'll remind you, a Medi-Cal managed care plan. So we can't serve everyone unless we have a way to support that cost. But it's a good partnership, and Kathy Parker has ways to maybe assist, and we're working also on an innovation plan which will further that effort to reach children and their families in the community. Worked with Sheila Shanahan on the county plan to combat homelessness, and that was very enlightening and fun to do. And we have our triage. Hopefully you'll see some of my staff walking down Washington Street, but we're also in the Junction, and we just started making Jamestown Main Street a priority to reach out with our SB 82 triage grant, which the main purpose of that grant is actually to avert emergency department contacts, but we're using that time also to outreach to the homeless as well. Any questions?
Okay, thank you very much. Welcome.
Good morning. Lisa Heeb from Public Health Department. So we have quite a few things we've been doing. For the fire preparedness, Steve touched on a little bit of the public health emergency preparedness program and the hospital preparedness program. We're coordinating potential site locations in the event of a wildfire or other emergency for like mass vaccination or shelter. We did our annual update, and we also had a training with our faith-based organizations where we had 5 organizations join us to discuss just what their organizational capacity was to help us in times of need. They also did wildfire preparedness outreach with a couple of partners, including OES, Transit, Area 12 on Agings, to mobile home parks. And it was really well attended. The members were really, really grateful for coming out and giving the information to them. For our vulnerable populations, our California Children's Services, our CCS program, reached out to kids on ventilators to see if they had an emergency plan, which was really timely. It was reported back that all clients had a plan, and there was no reports from the PSPS that there were any issues. Our local oral health program completed their community health improvement plan, and they're working with providers to address the gaps in care, which is where our underinsured access to care, such as Dental Cal, have some concerns, as well as our K-8 children. The Women, Infants, and Children program, our WIC program, had a computer systems change and a rollout of the new EBT card, which just occurred. So luckily, everybody that sees the checks cycling through currently, they will disappear. It will just be a card, probably by about December, although statewide, the rollout finishes in about March. So until then, you will see a couple of paper checks floating throughout the state. But it's been a huge process for the WIC staff, and I just want to commend them for their hard work in helping the clients go through the process of the change. The Opioid Safety Coalition met in August to discuss the medical assisted treatment, opioid-related issues to the senior population. They have a coordinated public information and education campaign, as well as reviewed the new Live Stories website, which provide local data. And that's a bunch of partners that get together as part of that committee. For our communicable disease program, unfortunately, gonorrhea cases are again on the rise. So there was a bunch of public and provider outreach that was done via social media and letters. So hopefully everybody is working on that. Our housing and disability prevention program, we've had a couple of success stories where our clients have received their Social Security, and we're currently housing three clients. And lastly, our tobacco and our local oral health program did a community health survey, which maybe some of you received. Thank you, Tracy, for giving your okay. Everybody got the postcards and the phone calls. And we had over 600 people complete the survey. And that data is being processed, and we'll have more information once we have that. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you very much.
Good morning, Chairman Rodefer, members of the board, Ms. Curio, Ms. Riggs. My name is Rebecca Espino, Deputy Director for the Department of Social Services. Social Services is grateful for the opportunity to once again share the really good work being done by your employees at Social Services. Although our list of activities is extensive, we're going to focus just on a few highlights. In 3 short months, the office assistants assigned to the Department of Social Services reception area served approximately 6,500 customers, either face-to-face or through the telephone, seeking services through our agency. The eligibility specialist team assisted over 200 aged, blind, and disabled individuals secure food assistance through our CalFresh program. Our independent living program social workers hosted 7 living skills training classes for foster youth ages 15 and a half to 21. The classes focused on employment, secondary education, public transportation, domestic violence, and similar support services. Our resource family approval social workers completed 2 emergency foster home assessments, and one of these assessments allowed a sibling group of 4 to remain together and to remain in the county. As many of our departments have experienced, the level of federal and state funding does not always match the need. So with the assistance of our outstanding DSS General Services Unit, we worked tirelessly to enhance our funding pool, and as a result, our department received additional state and federal funding to implement an employment and training program for single adults that have extensive barriers to employment. As common practice, we are partnering with Motherlode Job Training in this effort. Also, our department participated in a competitive grant through the Office of Child Abuse Prevention and was awarded $1 million over a 3-year period. This grant is to serve pregnant women with known histories of substance use, pregnant women with current substance use, and mothers of substance-exposed infants. Once again, as common practice at Social Services, the work will be done in collaboration with a vast number of partners, and a formal board presentation is scheduled for November, so more to come on that. And for a grand finale, as was shared at your last board meeting, the California State Association of Counties, CSAC, recently notified the county that the Child and Family Visitation Center received a 2019 CSAC Challenge Award of Merit in the category of Health and Human Services. The Visit Center is an innovative creation of community-based, county-run child and family visit center that brings community resources, volunteers, and AmeriCorps child abuse prevention activities and specialized coaching and support to families navigating the Child Welfare Services family reunification. Each week, over 100 visits are done at the Visit Center. So together, our community is stronger as we build resilient families who achieve safety, permanency, and well-being through the connection with our Visit Center community. This concludes our presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Congratulations on the award.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And thanks for the report.
Thank you.
That is an awesome achievement.
Thank you. Last but not least, Public Works.
Good morning, Board. This past quarter, the road, fleet, and engineering teams took advantage of the good weather and got to work on the Board's road improvement priority. With clearing, brushing projects, vegetation control, sign maintenance, hot asphalt repairs, culvert and drainage work, and erosion control throughout the county. Additionally, Marsh's Flat Kelly Grade storm repair is nearing completion, and work at Parrots Ferry is in full swing. Jacksonville Bridge maintenance and Buchanan storm repair projects will start soon, and really overall a lot of good work over the summer, and that's about it other than our weekly updates.
Any questions, comments?
I'm enjoying the weekly updates and the photos. It saves a trip out to look at things, so thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah, and thanks for the report. And again, congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. That concludes the department presentations. With that, it is recommended that your board approve the attached third quarter report on the 2019 board priorities and focus areas.
I think it's just a
There's
presentation,
no action
right?
required, yeah.
Okay. Can I have public comment? Seeing none, would the clerk of the board please read our
Can I
second?
make a comment?
Sure.
I just think it's important for the public to recognize, we talk at our retreat about how much our staff is doing and how much is being accomplished. And this is just an example of everything that is done above and beyond the normal daily workload that our staff has in meeting our priorities and goals. And I just want all of the department heads to carry back a very, very sincere thank you from this board, because for those that are listening, I think they will recognize how much we are doing. And so as an organization, please carry that thank you back.
Thank you for those comments. Well said. Now will the clerk of the board please read our second 11 o'clock appointment?
Okay, this is a presentation of the Tuolumne County Employee Development for the 2019 third quarter.
All right, as we continue to talk about focus areas of the board's priority, one of those focus areas was or is employee development. The intent is to encourage people to continue their education, whether it's through formal education, training, or conferences. So attached to this agenda item are those forums that were completed during the third quarter in regards to employee development. And at this time, I would like to invite anybody who would like to share their recent training to come up and share. Seeing any takers? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Very good.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Janelle Quinn, and I represent the Department of Social Services. I attended the Resource Family Approval Academy, which is a 4-day training developed for county staff who are implementing the Resource Family Approval process. And the training provided an overview of Resource Family approvals and the continuum of care reform. It also focused on providing a unified, family-friendly, child-centered resource family approval process to replace the existing multiple processes for licensing foster family homes and approving relatives and non-relative family members for legal guardianship or adoption. What I found most useful about the training is that it highlighted the paradigm shift of how RFA fits into the larger picture of the work California is doing across systems, as well as how culture, bias, teaming, and trauma relate to RFA. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Rotifer and members of the board. My name is Michelle Phillips, and I represent the Department of Social Services, currently working in home supportive services. The trainings that I attended in mid-September were disabilities awareness and medical implications, which are the third and fourth training for IHSS staff. Both of these trainings were impactful in realizing why it is that we do what we do every day. During the trainings, I learned that 1 out of 5 1 out of every 5 individuals is living with a disability, either visible or invisible to others. That percentage goes up to around 37% of those 65 and older. We were taught how to understand and empathize with others and to realize that those with a disability are often 4 times more likely to have health issues in other areas of their life as opposed to someone without a disability. In learning how common disabilities are, we were taught how important it is for us as a community to incorporate an ideal of, quote, building accessibility and incorporating the social model into our everyday lives. The social model believes that areas, workplaces, buildings, and towns ought to be designed as accessible to everyone. From the very beginning, because if a community removes the barriers of the disabled, i.e. wider doorways, ramps instead of stairs, braille on placards, accessible restrooms, etc., those with disabilities would just have abilities. We were taught to ask someone that if they wanted help before assuming that they needed it, and to be mindful when doing our assessments, taking into account how the recipient's conditions make their daily life more difficult. The medical implication portions of the training delved into the major body systems, which I won't name all of them, and dealt with mental disorders to make up a significant portion of our IHSS clientele. And the videos of live interviews gave a personal and effective reality check of how difficult it is for those dealing with emotional and mental illnesses, which we come into contact with on a regular basis. Also during the training, we had to watch Anderson Cooper go on a schizophrenia simulator. I suggest that if anybody's interested in what it's like living with schizophrenia, that they actually Google this and watch it. The trainings were very impactful, and we all learned a lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Rodefer and members of the board. My name is Lonnie Iliescu, and I represent the Department of Social Services. The training I attended was revisions made to the confidential caseload for social services. The caseload has been updated with a new category of high-profile cases. These cases could be those of county residents that may become of interest to media outlets. The importance of this update is to ensure the county is protecting the cases with the highest level of confidentiality. With this update, anyone violating this policy would be personally liable financially, as the County Human Services Agency would be required to notify any government agencies of the breach and also the individual whose information was breached. I find this update to be of great importance as these cases are people's lives and they should be treated with respect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm Gail Sorensen, representing the library. I've been with the county about 12 years. I do literacy, and I work in the Tuolumne branch, and whatever hat happens to be on that day. I took several trainings this past quarter, and one in particular I wanted to talk with you about. I went to Stanislaus County. They have a very large literacy program there. They've been operating more than 20 years. They do have a library component, but they also have a standalone program that really interested me. I wanted to see what they had there. It started as a tour, and it became much more than a tour. They are called Learning Quest. They have more than 1,500 adult learners in their program. They have in excess of a $3 million budget. And I thought, okay, what can we do? How can we maybe model for that? I was able to meet with their executive director, their assistant executive director, their marketing director. I mean, this is a huge program. What was really interesting to me was how they all work together for a common cause. That's kind of what we were hearing today, right? About what all these departments are doing here for the county. I thought that was really interesting. I very much enjoyed seeing their classroom situations where they're using rooms and turning them into small groups. They do one-on-one tutoring, which is what we do here also, but on a much larger scale. But as I was going through this tour now becoming training, it became apparent to me that my mindset was changing. And I think that was the most impactful for me, was looking at how we can work together for a common cause to become this much larger entity is really what they were doing. And I very much appreciate the fact that the county is interested in our education and wants to put us out there to learn these things, because when we share with one another, we're going to learn. We can't help but. And so I appreciate that. And so my biggest takeaway is my mindset changed, that I'm not just looking for nuts and bolts, which of course I got brochures and all sorts of stuff, which was so fun. But beyond that, beyond the meat and potatoes, I think the mindset changed. And so thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you for the report.
Good morning again, Sarah Carrillo, County Council. I feel like I should pull up Mr. Earhart up here because I want to talk about Senior Executive Institute. And I first of all just want to say I'm really, really grateful for this opportunity. It was an amazing experience, and I'm really grateful for Tracy for really encouraging me, and some prodding from Eric as well, to attend this training. It's not something that's taught in law school, leadership. It's unfortunate, but it's not. So it's something I've been looking for a long time, kind of searching out things on my own. So it's nice to go to something that's formalized and be with experts in the field who've taught this for years. There are so many invaluable lessons. So I just want to talk about a couple. I think what really resonates with me is the fact that now that I have this knowledge, I have a duty to share it. And so that's something that I've been working on with my staff, to understand the essence of the Senior Executive Institute. I would recommend that anyone that's interested in what it means to create a high-performance organization, read the book or even just Google the video of David Marquet, Turn the Ship Around. He's amazing, but he's a former Navy captain, and while he was the head of a nuclear submarine, really flipped leadership on its head to create a collaborative environment where the people on the ship owned the entire work of the team. So it was a team environment. The productivity increased, the morale increased. And I think that's really the goal of what Tracy and that we're trying to create here. So again, check it out. We spent a lot of time also talking about the purpose of being a public servant. Most people I know, and definitely for me, I chose this career because I want to do good. I want to serve our community. But it's not always easy because there are a lot of expectations placed on us. I think your board knows this. There's a lot of rules, restrictions, and there's not always things that we can do to help, or if there is a way, it might be limited. And there's not always understanding of why that is, what that means. There's a lot of public scrutiny with maybe not always understanding the full set of facts that comes with being in these positions. But what we talked about was to always remember our purpose. What is our meaning? What is our purpose? That we are stewards of democracy. And so part of the training is talking about and going to Monticello and visiting really the founding of our nation. And I don't know that there's any, I get chills when I talk about it, but it's just so powerful to be there in that environment. So something that we're working on is reminding ourselves of this purpose and the environment that we are supposed to be creating. We know that we have difficult and complex situations that your board will face or the department heads will face, and the environment that we create to allow the dialogue that needs to happen in a respectful manner so that we can address those issues. And then in terms of implementing that, so my office, we have a weekly staff meeting, but at least 2 times a month we are looking at the materials provided by SCI. We are looking at some of the videos as resources, and we're talking and discussing ways to implement the principles. And then my staff is super excited because in February, somebody from Senior Executive Institute will be here to provide the high performance organization training. So we look forward to being able to actually implement it on a broader basis. We've been, working with a CAO on kind of a smaller scale, but I just see that it's really going to take off after February. So thank you again.
Thank you.
I'll just add a little bit to that. I echo everything she says. In my previous career, I had the opportunity to attend a lot of training, hundreds of hours of training, and this was without a doubt one of the best leadership courses I've ever been through. They structure in a way that you really get a chance to learn yourself, learn how to work in teams, and they focus on the value of every single employee and and teach you how to really focus on that as well. So I just, like I said, I would like to echo everything that Sarah said, and it was an absolutely valuable training that I think we should get as many people through that training as we can. So thank you.
Thank you for that. Is that the end of your report?
That would be the end of the report.
Okay, I'm going to say something first. This has been a priority of mine for a long time, and I want to commend CAO Riggs, for really stepping this up in this county. Career development, employee development is probably one of the most important things that we do. Some people will say, well, it's a waste of money, but it's not a waste of a single penny. We have to train our people in their initial skill levels to get them to be able to do their job right. Additionally, regs and guidelines come down from the feds and the state all the time that change the administrative requirements, the way of doing business, any number of things that require ongoing training. We also owe it to our employees to train them up so that they are eligible for advancement when openings come up above them. Whether they stay here and take advantage of advancement opportunities here or go elsewhere, that is nothing more than the blood pumping through the veins of the organization, okay? We owe it to them. One of the things that was mentioned, and I was glad it was brought up, is every time you go to these trainings, not only do you get the academic material that's inherent in it, but you interact with people that are in jobs very much like yours, if not identical, but probably very much like yours, and you get to have discussions. I mean, every time I've been to a training opportunity, maybe the training is 8 to 10 hours long during a day, but then you normally sit around and either go to dinner with some of the people that you're with, or you have evening sessions, formal evening sessions or whatever. But I normally spend a good 14 to 16 hours. And I've brought back, and I'm hearing the same thing, best practices. You get exposed to how somebody else does your job, and you go, wow, I never thought of that. You know, and you come back, you go, hey, let's try this. And we become a better organization. Personal development is what we called, in my previous job, the force multiplier. And it's really important. And every penny we spend on that, we reap probably hundreds of dollars on that penny and improve performance in our county. And I am passionate about it. I'm sorry. And thank you, Tracy. John.
Just a quick comment. You said it all, but I did take some time and to read through I guess you could call them testimonials or whatever they were that the people wrote about their training, and I had a couple takeaways there that seemed to be common, is that people were understanding how the decisions they made affect the overall. I think that's the key. You know, just one person can make a decision that could affect the whole county, and I think there is an understanding there. And the other takeaway had to do with measurable actions. You know, how do I measure the action I take? So I seen that in those testimonials. That was good to have in there as backup, because it shows that people are seeing the big picture much more so, I think, than they were in the past. So all for taking up this training.
Supervisor Campbell.
Yeah, and I read through most of the comments that were in the board packet, and just time after time, employees mentioning how important it is to acquire these skills and bring them back to better serve the community. It's over and over again. That was brought up as one of the key takeaways that employees for a variety of different trainings had. And so we're bringing skills back to our community that are being applied every day. And so it extremely valuable. And just as Chairman Rotifer said, it pays dividends every day.
Absolutely. This is something that employee development is something we have talked about, I think, every year at our retreat since I have been on this board. And I want to really echo your sentiments, Supervisor Rotifer, and thank CAO Riggs for implementing a program that is going to bring so much value to this county and value to our constituents. And I've read the reports also, and you could see the themes. But I want to thank those that came up and spoke publicly, because again, it's, sometimes that's a hard thing to do, but it is so important for the public to get to hear your testimony and appreciate that than what you shared. It's so valuable, and absolutely is how we multiply the benefits are just severalfold. So thank you.
Okay, before we go very far, I'd like to ask for public comment. Okay, seeing none. Anything else from the board on this? Then, ladies and gentlemen, only 19 seconds late. We're adjourned for lunch, and we'll be back at 1:30. Divergence of our normal expected revenue increases with our normal expected cost increases, and what options we're going to put to the voters to determine in some potential future elections. So with that having been said, staff report, please.
All right, good afternoon, members of the board. Eric Arrett, County Administrator's Office. Again, as you state, we're here to talk about the potential for placing a revenue measure on the ballot for sales tax and transient occupancy tax. So we always like to start with our mission statement. We commit to providing exceptional public service that creates a healthy and safe community, exercises natural, cultural, and financial resource stewardship, promotes economic prosperity, and enhances the quality of life. With that said, some of this may sound familiar, but we want to provide a background just so that way everybody understands where we're at and how we got here. At the September 3rd board meeting, your board heard a presentation on a recent public polling that took place in Tuolumne County, and the questions posed during that public polling was, would the public support an increase in sales tax in the unincorporated area of Tuolumne County by 1%? And would they support an increase in the transient occupancy tax in the unincorporated areas of Tuolumne County from 10% to 14% and to extend it to recreational vehicle parks and campgrounds? Following that presentation, it was shown that the polling did show support for both revenue measures moving forward, and staff was directed to return with 2 resolutions that would place those onto the March ballot. And the draft language, just as a reminder, that was presented on the September 3rd, on the October 1st meeting, was based on the language that was used in the public polling study. So on October 1st, staff came before your board to present that draft language for the sales tax as well as the transient occupancy tax. And your board requested additional information such as comparison to other counties and cities for the sales tax and TOT, as well as the option of a phased-in approach of those potential increases. Pass it over to our
Debbie Batista, County Clerk, Auditor, Controller. So just to clarify what the current sales tax rate is in the unincorporated area of Tuolumne County and where the money goes. And to be really clear, the money doesn't come directly to the County of Tuolumne. Everything flows through the state of California. All the vendors, all the businesses, all the business owners will send their sales tax returns monthly, quarterly, or annually to the state, and then the state turns around and sends the money back to all the jurisdictions that the sales tax collected belongs in. So for the unincorporated area of Tuolumne County, currently the rate is 7.25. That is the base rate for the state of California. That means that we have not added any additional taxes to that rate. So 6% every time you pay your 7 1/4, 6% of it goes to the state of California. 1% comes to the county of Tuolumne. 0.25 goes to our public trans system, so the system that public trans, all the buses out there. And if we wanted to look at the city of Sonora, just to have a comparison, and later on we'll have their rate is 7.75. They have exactly the same as this, but they also have a 0.5 that the people voted in for their public safety years ago. So the next slide shows the actual sales tax for the county of Tuolumne over the last couple years. As you can see, it's slowly growing. The one thing when we get into looking at what the measure would be if we put on additional tax, you'll see that the numbers are different. These are our actual 1%, and what you may or may not know is the County of Tuolumne has a revenue agreement with the City of Sonora, and we also receive 13% of the 1% that the City of Sonora has. So these are our actual sales tax, but it's not the pure 1%. So the next slide shows in comparable counties around us what the rates are. And as you can see, the highest one is in Stanislaus County. They have 7.875. And then the city of Sonora, Placerville, I don't think it's a county. I think it's supposed to be the city. And Mariposa County, San Joaquin County, Amador County, and Angels Camp, the city of, all are at 7.75. Calaveras County, El Dorado County, and Tuolumne County all are at the base 7.25. The next slide, and I'm not going to read you the numbers, shows you the sale comparisons for those same counties, not any of the cities. And you can see where we kind of fall in there. And then my thing is stapled backwards. I'm doing TOT? Yeah. Okay. So then again, now we're going to look at TOT. The transient occupancy tax is applied to any rental accommodation unless the visitor, and it can't be multiple visitors. So, for example, Supervisor Brennan can't stay 10 days, Supervisor Rutherford stay 10 days, and Supervisor Gray stay 10 days, and the fee would be waived. We would still have to pay the TOT on each one of your 10-day stays. So the visitor has to be the same visitor. And if they have consecutive 30 days or more, TOT is not applied. And currently, TOT is only collected on the rental of hotels, motels, and house rentals. We're not collecting it on campsites or RV sites. And the next slide reflects, again, some of the TOT rates in the areas around us. There's also applied in some areas different rates that aren't TOT, but they have room rates, they have other revenue rates. So you can see that the rates run anywhere from 8% all the way up to 14+%, and ours is 10%. Thanks. This is easier to flip. Again, what you have on the next slide is the actual TOT rates from 2016 to our current budget. One will see that between 16 and 17, there is a huge jump in TOT. We had a hotel in the Groveland Big Oak Flats area that opened up in August of 2016. That's not the entire increase because we've had increases as we're going, but that hotel has, I don't know how many rooms, but it's a fairly big. Sorry? 143. Thank you. 143 rooms, which added to our base, and so therefore added to our TOT.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. The next slide is looking at the different counties and how much TOT that the counties are collecting. And remember, the counties in some of the smaller areas where you're saying why don't they have as much TOT as we do, or why don't they have as much TOT as Mariposa County? Remember, they only get to collect the TOT in the unincorporated areas. And if you have a county who has a lot of incorporated cities, they're not, and they don't have very many motels in their unincorporated area, there won't be a lot of TOT to collect. And this should be a duh to everybody, but in Mariposa County, their big, huge TOT is Yosemite Valley. Your turn.
Just thought, in case you'd like to pause, if there's any questions related to the comparisons, that was one of the specific items your board had asked for.
One thing that I think needs to be stressed, that when we look at these counties, we're proposing in the unincorporated portion of the county. A lot of these counties, the sales tax doesn't show as high for the county because, like you said, they have multiple cities, and like the city of Modesto collects the taxes there. So it's hard to come up with a like situation.
And if they're larger cities, significantly like Modesto, Merced, then a city the size of Sonora, they provide a lot higher percentage of the services to the population of the county than Tuolumne County does.
Okay, are you ready to move on then? All right. So we did a little bit of updating on, we talked previously about what do we know that's coming next year. And there are a few different, few items that we have updated on here. We already had talked to you about having the $1 million increase in the fixed PERS payment. And what we've experienced over these last couple of years that we've gone to a fixed payment and a percentage payment, is that fixed payment has increased by $1 million each year. So that's an additional to what we would have made the previous year. The other thing is that Deb had just told me a week or two ago that for the percentage payment for our safety group of employees, the percentage for safety group is going up by 1%. So Deb did the calculation. That's approximately $150,000 there that we will incur next year in 2021 that we don't have this year. And then the salaries and benefits, that's one that has been in here consistently. And with those stars, what that means is these similar amounts will roll over into future years as well because it's related to PERS payments and then salaries and benefits. We had talked about previously over these last, say, 8 to 10 years that we have been looking at ways to utilize resources and to save money so that we can do other things or reduce our costs, is that people who were more expensive, meaning our more senior employees who had longevity, they were at the E-step, they have retired, and we began bringing in what we would call less expensive employees. They're at a different tier in the retirement system, but they would have started at the E-step and they would not have had the longevity available to their the previous employee. Well, what we're seeing is those employees who might have started at the A step are now working their way through the other steps. So there's a natural progression of an increase in costs related to new, less expensive employees is where I'm going with that. Then we had brought up the county facility payment for the courts. When the courts opened their own courthouse, and we now, meaning Tuolumne County, now provides the facility for the courts. When they move into their own facility, we will be expected to pay for the maintenance that they will have on that new facility. This is an estimate. We did look at what different counties are paying across the state of California. And again, I think Mono County, which was the first one I looked at, was like $209,000 a year. I don't know what it will be, but this is on the low end. There are some who are paying significantly higher than this. So we're putting that in there for now as a placeholder. I don't know what that new amount will be, and part of that will depend on what we end up working out with usage of the older facilities. And then last time we had for transfer to fire, historically, and you may remember in the previous presentation, we gave you the historical look at how much the general fund has contributed to the fire fund. What we had in previously here was a transfer of $500,000, and we've updated that to reflect that this year your board needed to give the fire fund $1 million in general fund just to balance the current operations. That means no additional services, and then you also allocated $700,000 in addition to that to purchase a new engine. So this year the fire fund received $1.7 million from the general fund. So we've increased that transfer from the $500,000 that was in the previous presentation to the $1 million that we expect that we will need for 2021 just to keep status quo services. And then your board did approve paying off some debt early, so that will free up $781,000 going forward. And then we have some IT software that we will not have to pay for next year due to various conversions that we've been working on. And that is a savings of $700,000. So the net of all of what we know we're looking at for 2021 is almost $3.9 million. Do you have any questions on that? And I'll move into the next slide. You guys have seen these.
I was just going to say, from my experience, that is a rock bottom figure.
Right.
I think you're looking at 4+.
And we'll continue working.
And I see my elected auditor controller's head nodding yes.
This does not take into account any type of increase in revenues. What we have been seeing, our general revenue is about $1 million increase is what we've been seeing. But we also know that there will be things that we are unforeseen that we will have to take into account when we start building that budget model. So the other thing we began looking at, you may remember, we had brought to your board's attention that our facilities manager had a ongoing internal worksheet. These were his own work papers that he was keeping track of, different deferred maintenance that needed to occur that we have not been able to do yet. So what we had asked him to do was go back and update that worksheet. That was, again, it's an internal staff. We all have our internal work papers. So he did. And that new amount is $11.8 million. We have been putting about $500,000 a year from the general fund into capital for things like doing new roofing projects and things that would be capitalized. And then there's an additional $500,000 that's been going into the facilities budget for repairs and maintenance. We can clearly see it's not enough. We have deferred maintenance that we have not been doing, and then there's other things that we need to do to bring our buildings into compliant with current state standards that we have not yet done. The other one is reserves. Right now, I'm thinking it's like $3 million. A little under $3 million. Really, we should have for 5%. We should be trying to get to at least $5 million in our reserves. Ideally, we'd like to see that even a little bit higher. And then I think I'd mentioned to a few of you as I began really looking at how some of the other counties are handling their capital. I did see one in particular that I really liked, and we can visit later, but they actually have a capital fund, a reserve fund just for capital. So like we talk about having $250 for every year that the board wants to put towards the regular reserve, they also have a policy that every year a certain amount goes into reserve for capital infrastructure projects. And then they pull from that as those projects need to occur. So that's something we'll bring back to you and we'll discuss as we move into the next budget year. And then there's some capital projects that are not part of the 11.8 million. When I say not part, if we did these other capital projects, it would reduce some of that 11.8, but it's not a like for like dollar. So this 3 million actually is for two buildings. It's for the admin building and the Francisco building, so CRA building. Our HVAC and our elevators are being held together. We call it a shoestring. We keep doing things to keep them going, but they're both really old. Our HVAC systems are the original systems that were put in when they built the buildings, which are 50, 60 years old. And the elevator, for those who rode up, now if you don't hold that button, it will stop. You have to hold the button all the way up. The point being is that I need to really start focusing with our team on how we can make the necessary capital infrastructure repairs here, because if the elevator or that HVAC system goes out in either building, we will have to close that building. So these are of the utmost priority here. And when I talk with our facilities manager, those are the ones that he will tell you keeps him up at night. He worries about what would we do if one of those go out. There would be a reduction of the 11.8, but not completely. And I'll give you an example of why. For elevator, we have just enough to keep it repaired, but not enough to go in there and really completely redo all of the electrical and the computer system is really what we need to do for the elevators. The other thing so there's about $18 million. And again, those are not things we would do all in 1 year. You would begin moving those forward and you would get them on a cycle. But what we don't know is when the courts vacate our two buildings, so the historic courthouse and then the courthouse on Washington Street, we have no idea at this point what will it cost to renovate those buildings for whatever we might want to do. There will be some costs incurred, especially as we look at use of the historic building. And we don't have to deal with those right now. We will deal with them once we start bringing to your board some ideas for uses. But it's just something we need to keep in the back of our minds that when those become vacant, we will incur costs to get those up and running.
And Tracy, pardon me for interrupting, but we are anticipating that occurring not this budget year, but probably next budget year, or at least partially in next budget year, right?
That's my understanding as well. Probably
Okay.
2021, probably. I don't know exactly my understanding is that court construction will be about 18 months behind when we open. So probably 2021.
Okay.
And the other one is, and this is just a reminder, your board is aware of this, but all of our bargaining units between now and next December, all of their contracts come up for renewal. So we will begin the process of bargaining with all of those units.
Okay, so what are some of the increments of the different increases in either sales tax or TOT? So again, just a reminder, if you go back to the previous pages where we're showing actuals, these numbers are a little bit different because these are pure County of Tuolumne, not including any of the money from the City of Sonora, because even if we increase our tax base, we wouldn't get any more money from the City of Sonora. So a 0.5% sales tax increase would be about $200,000 and $250,000. A 1% would be about $4.5 million bucks. A 1.25 would be $5,625,000. And if we wanted to look at, so let's stop there for a second. Any questions before I go on? The TOT is a little bit different because we did a 2% and we did a 4%, and we also included the campgrounds and the RV sites for the knowledge that we have. Before we get to the actual fiscal report that I have to do for the ballot measure, I will do a little bit more work. But this is looking at the internet, having the sites from the last time we looked at this, so I had all the names, doing the math. A 2% increase in TOT would be about $980,000, and going from 0 to 12% for the campgrounds and the RV would be about $873,000. So if we went from 10 to 12, included the campgrounds and the RV part, that would be a little over $1 million, about $1,063,000. If we went from 10 to 14, the TOT increase on our base right now would be $1,096,000, and the campgrounds and the RV, again, going from 0 to 14% would be $1,017,940 for a total of $2,113,940.
Chair, members of the board, Christopher Schmidt, Deputy County Counsel. At the last meeting, your board asked whether or not one or both of the taxes could be increased in phases. Since that meeting, my office performed initial research and discussed the option with the State Department of Tax and Fee Administration, the CDTFA, because they're also involved in any change to sales tax. This is by no means comprehensive and complete, so if your board wishes to pursue incremental increases, it will entail significant additional legal work without guarantee of success. To address the question of incremental increases, we need to talk a little more about each tax. Regarding sales tax, after the tax is imposed on retail sale and use of goods, they're collected by CDTFA by agreement, and a portion is returned to the county. Increases of these taxes are authorized by statute, which entails several requirements, including adoption of an ordinance and a resolution, voter approval, a 110-day waiting period between voter approval and implementation, and approval of an agreement with CDTFA for collection with up to $175,000 setup fee. Overlaying those requirements are laws governing ballot measures, including new requirements for tax-related ballot questions to specify the rate, anticipated revenue, the duration of the tax, as well as other text clarifying that it's a measure to be adopted. This will create a complex ballot question for voters to read, even for the most simplest measures. The next slide. Regarding phased-in increases of sales tax, it is possible in theory, but some obstacles were identified in our initial research. And to name a few, first, this may be the first phased-in increase in California. The CDTFA couldn't find any past examples of increasing this incrementally specifically for this tax. And that carries with it a risk of the unknown or legal issues that we have yet to identify. Second, the agreement between the county and CDTFA would require adaptation to incorporate the phased increases. That would also obligate CDTFA to reestablish the county's collection program for each phase, and it would entail an additional setup fee for each phase, although subsequent fees would probably be less than the initial fee. Third, each phase would require its own 110-day wait period. And finally, the ballot question would be lengthy and complicated due to the new legal requirements and the need to clearly incorporate the phased rates and periods. Potential risks include legal issues that we have yet to identify, as well as voter challenges. Voter challenges typically focus on ballot language and materials, such as whether or not it provides voters sufficient and clear information, or whether it states clearly a general or special tax. Therefore, detailed yet concise ballot questions are less risky, and adding to an already complex question carries some concern. Moving on to TOT. TOT, or transient occupancy tax. This exists in our ordinance code in Chapter 3.32, and it taxes short-term stays in hotels. The county collects this tax, and your board controls the increases, subject, of course, to voter approval. Increases are then less complex than the sales tax because we don't have the other agency involved, and state law limitations on TOT are already in our ordinance. Therefore, incrementally raising TOT is possible, and there are examples around the state of other counties doing that. But in this case, it would be equally as difficult because our particular TOT ballot question also covers expansion to campsites and RVs. So the ballot question is already convoluted, and adding to that phased increases or phased rates and time periods is a concern there too. So what are the options? First, the status quo is to bring one measure without any phasing as proposed, and this is the simplest option, requiring less administrative burden and risk and only one election, but it would not it would not be phased. The second option is to bring a separate ballot measure for each incremental increase. This allows for phases, but it would require an election for each increase. And that takes the complexity out of the equation. However, it does increase costs of having multiple elections and multiple CDTFA fees. And the last option is to bring a single measure for all incremental increases. For both taxes, that carries the risk of adding complexity to the tax measure. However, for the sales tax in particular, adding risk of the unknown to the overlying CDTFA jurisdiction and requirements, if your board wants to incrementally increase the tax in one measure, our office recommends either deferring the measure to the fall 2020 presidential election or anticipate retaining specialized tax counsel to meet deadlines for the March 2020 primary. Does your board have any questions on that?
Clear as mud.
So I wanted to talk about the timing. We've discussed this before, but just to go back through it one more time. Should your board decide that you wanted to move forward at the end of today, what staff would do is draft the initial language, the ballot measure language, and the ordinance, and bring it back to you for a first reading on November 5th, a second reading and adoption of the ordinance on November 19th in order for it to be placed on the March 3rd election. What we do want to make sure that the board understands is should we be directed to come back with that ordinance and on November 5th, if your board were to make changes, the only way that we would be able to still get this done in time for our March election would be to hold a special board meeting because you have to have your first and second reading, and that's when you're not making changes to it. That's actually reading the ordinance and then it going in for the second reading. Finally, we want to talk about staff recommendation. We've spent a lot of time talking with you, listening to members of the community, and then amongst ourselves just with where we are with budget. So staff is recommending that you look at consideration of a sales tax increase of 1%, and that would be an estimated $4.5 million. The TOT increase from 10 to 12%, which would be almost another $1 million. That would be a 2% increase, and that increase would include campgrounds and RVs, which is another $900,000. The total is about $6.3 million. And that staff is recommending that we do not do a phased-in approach, and really it is just about the ease of getting it on the ballot and the ease of understanding it amongst all of the other items that will be on the ballot that day that we're asking voters to consider. So ultimately here at the bottom, we're going to repeat our recommendation, and that is an increase to increase sales tax in the unincorporated area of Tuolumne County from 7.25% to 8.25%. And then second, an increase in the transient occupancy tax in the unincorporated areas of Tuolumne County from 10 to 12%, and to extend it to recreational vehicles, parks, and campgrounds. And of course, we're more than happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Questions from the board? Okay. My favorite part, public comment. Come on up to the podium, please. I don't think we're going to need to do that. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Tammy. I'm the general manager of the Sonora Inn. And I just wanted to comment about how we're comparing the TOT in Mariposa County and, let's say, Lake Tahoe. That's a place that has 5-star hotels, which bring in a lot more money. They have convention centers, and they have more motive for people to come to that location. Over here, we're spending a lot of money ourselves at the hotel marketing the Tuolumne County. So, if we have to increase our rates, potentially we're going to have less visitors come, which will actually hinder the community. We won't get as much local support, them shopping in local businesses. So I just kind of wanted to bring that to your attention.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Terry Marshall. I'm here today
as the Director of Marketing and Communications for Rush Creek Lodge and Evergreen Lodge. And I also volunteer on the board for Visit Tuolumne County, representing lodging for District 4, which mirrors Supervisor Gray. And I just wanted to share a quick little anecdote. Yesterday I was talking to somebody about what was going to happen today and explaining the situation. And I said, it's really great because we've come a long way in the last 3 years. And I can't believe how just kind and generous everybody was with the scheduling process. Putting this on the agenda for 1:30 makes it possible for more lodging representatives to participate, because you've got 11 a.m. checkout and you've got 3:30 check-in. So, and then also I have a long commute, so it made it possible for me to get here with less stress. And I just wanted to say how great that was. And the person I was talking to said, you really need to make sure you start with saying thank you for making it so nice. So thank you very much. Much appreciated. I also wanted to talk a little bit about what's been happening with Visit Tuolumne County. So when you look at where we were 3 years ago and where we are today, we've had a very strategic approach to improving the quality of tourism that we have and going after our opportunity markets, which are outside of peak summer months. And we've had great success so far with that. If you saw the annual report that Lisa gave recently, you may recall that we had over 5% growth in tourism spending in Tuolumne County, and that was the highest growth out of any rural county in the state of California. And when you add to that what a challenging marketing year it was for tourism, it's even that much more remarkable of an accomplishment. And keep in mind, this is also coming in after Rush Creek had plenty of time to make its place in the market. So that was real growth in tourism spending. So our goals were to improve the quality of summer visitation by growing our international visitors, because they stay longer and they spend more money across more categories of our local economy. And we've done that. And we work now with several major wholesalers that provide us entry to tour operators like Virgin Holidays and British Airway Holidays. We've got a real strong foothold in the Norwegian market now, too. And as I've often heard you say, Supervisor Gray, you can tell anytime you visit Rush Creek, or if you're in downtown Groveland, you're hard-pressed to hear anybody speaking English, because there are people from so many different countries. So that's definitely working. We've also succeeded in expanding our leisure market outside of our peak summer months. And I think everybody is pretty much feeling that in the lodging sector. And the next big pillar for us to go after, which is our big growth market, our big growth opportunity, our meetings and events business outside of peak summer months. So the Visitors Bureau invested in that. We've got Katie Kirkland on board, and she's leading the charge and doing a great job representing the county. And then speaking now on behalf of Rush Creek and Evergreen, we've invested very seriously in expanding our groups market. We've hired a very seasoned professional. She's our new Director of Group Sales. She was formerly the Director of Sales and Marketing at Tenaya Lodge, so she brings with us an incredible amount of expertise, not only just in developing group sales, but also how we can compete toe-to-toe with our friendly neighbors in Mariposa. So she's doing a fantastic job of really stuffing the pipeline. And what I would like for you all to take a moment to make sure you remember is that when you raise the TOT, it means less to the leisure traveler, but when you're looking at pursuing group business, and we're competing not just with Mariposa and Madera, but we are also competing with Santa Cruz, Monterey, Sonoma, Napa, and Tahoe. Now, all of a sudden, going from 10% TOT to 12% TOT for one meeting planner who's evaluating the cost over hundreds of room nights for property buyouts that are being looked at by quite a number of very high-profile clients, you're talking about a significant loss in momentum for us. So that 10% TOT is a really valuable selling point for us as we're going after this third pillar that's part of our strategy to really grow our revenue. And I hope that makes sense to everybody. And if anybody has any questions about that, I'd love to stop right now and just be able to answer. Because to me, obviously, I get pretty fired up about it. And it's a big deal for us. So staying at TOT gives us a competitive advantage against the counties that we're going head-to-head with. What would be really great is if we could continue that momentum and build on it, put off asking for an increase in TOT until we've had an opportunity to break through with some of these high-profile companies that are looking at property buyouts in the off-season. Once we've sold them on our product, because they still, a lot of them just don't know about us yet, and they're very impressed. We're flying in CEOs from I promised I wouldn't say the names of the companies, but you can see me afterwards and I'll tell you quietly in your ear. But if we get them as customers first, we will win them over with the assets that we have in Tuolumne County. Now then, they're fans of ours, we've laid a foundation, and that would be a more appropriate time, I think, to go back and look at, shall we now go ahead and increase the TOT? Because the other danger that we're really concerned about is that if you put both measures on the ballot at the same time in March, human nature is people are not going to want to vote for a tax that they're going to have to pay, and they're definitely going to want to vote for a tax that they're going to pass off to visitors. If tax increase doesn't pass and TOT does, you're still very far from where you're looking to get with your financial goals, which we support. But it would be, I think, easier for everybody if you were to go for the sales tax increase first, look at TOT later, which will do two things. One, it'll give us more time to establish that base with the group business that we're currently developing. And it will also give you more support from more representatives from the lodging industry. Meetings that I've attended and conversations that I've had, obviously, if there's a TOT increase proposed on the ballot, pretty much everybody in the lodging sector is going to be against it. So you'll be having to fight really hard to pass both measures, whereas if you start with the sales tax, you'll have the support of the majority of the lodging industry.
Thank you.
I think that was it. Oh, one last point about competition. One of the buyouts we recently came very close on ended up going to the shiny new penny in the market. So that's AutoCamp. And they're great. They're great partners when we're at shows. We work together well with them. But when it comes down to decision time, they've got the cachet of the Airstreams, which are really popular. And so we're having to compete against that as well. So the 10% TOT is a competitive differentiator against the Airstreams. We also have several hundred new rooms that are coming online in the Madera market in the coming years. So we're going to have to compete even harder for that business. So, you know, the TOT staying at 10% for us for at least one more year would be a great help in maintaining our momentum.
Thank you.
And thank you guys very much. I really appreciate the chance to
And thank you
speak.
for what your industry does for the economy of our county.
Yes. Did you have a question? No. I didn't say that scary, did I? Did you have a question? Yeah. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, good. Good.
Nothing scares Debbie.
Not much. Only somebody who's 6'2".
Come on up.
Good afternoon, Chairman Rodefer, members of the board. My name is David Goldenberg, candidate for District 1 Supervisor. I have several questions. On the phasing in, which Supervisor Campbell initially, I think, questioned about, I understand there's complexities involved and there's risk. One of the items that was discussed was seeking the advice of a qualified tax advisor. Do we have any idea of what the cost would be to do that, rather than look at, if that was an option, the phasing to putting it off to the November of 2020 election? Do we know how much that might?
David, I'm going to have to, you always come up, this is public comment. It's not public fact-finding, okay? You always come up and you ask questions. We're looking for input. We're not looking to necessarily educate you personally. You're more than welcome to contact staff offline. We will answer your questions today, but please, that's not the purpose of public comment. If you have questions, make yourself smarter on the issues. Our staff will be happy to support you.
Chairman Rodefer.
Yes, sir.
First thing, in the morning, when you have a public speaking, there's no board action, and that's understood. When somebody comes up at this time, and if they have questions, they deserve to have those questions answered.
Okay, ask your question.
I just did.
Okay.
I can answer that, Supervisor.
Go
Well, to
ahead.
some extent, I can answer that. So what we were suggesting is if the board wanted to meet the deadline, that they would potentially seek a tax attorney. And so rates vary, probably, $300 to $500 an hour. I don't know how long it would take in order to make sure we're not missing any tax-related issues in order to meet the deadline.
Okay. Just looking at the sellability of this to the public is, when you look at different options, and that may be a viable option, and I was just concerned if somebody had looked at the cost to investigate that.
David, real quick, I just
Sure.
want to make sure that didn't get lost too, which County Council Schmidt had gone over, which is that every time you change, if you do a phased-in approach, say for the sales tax, there's actually that $175,000 for every time it changes, correct?
It's, in statute, there's a maximum $175,000 setup fee. So if it's phased, multiple phases, there will be an initial fee, probably the biggest. And CDTFA did say that if you have subsequent phases, it would likely be less of a fee. We don't know what that is. These are just initial, an initial look at this after 2 weeks. So
Sure.
regarding tax counsel, we'd have to cross a couple bridges before we get there. So.
Yeah, and I understand. I mean, this is new, it is complex, and I'm not ignorant to that matter. On the deferred maintenance, I know you've got some numbers here, the 11,800,000 internal developed numbers. The last board meeting, we were talking 7.7 million, so this is a substantial jump in a couple of weeks of $4 million. I just, again, if there's a list, that list needs to be put out there, because really people, if they're voting for something, they're going to want to see some justification as to why the need is there, and I don't think that's an unreasonable thing that the county, should honor that and be aware of that. One last question, which was in one of the budget slides, talked about a planned transfer to fire of, I think, $1 million. Presumably that would maybe be an ongoing plan, or if not, my understanding is with this type of tax ballot measure that unless it's not specific, that there's no guarantee that fire would get that money. Is that correct?
Go ahead and answer the question.
So, right now, we are recommending a general tax. It would go into the general fund. But as you look, historically, the board has been filling in that gap that is needed for maintaining that CAL FIRE contract. So like I said, this year it needed $1 million to maintain the contract, and then the board allocated an additional $700,000. There is nothing saying that the board has to do it, but they have actually absolutely demonstrated their dedication to public safety, which includes fire as their number one priority for the year.
Yeah, the CAL FIRE contract and also that looming $7.5 or more million for the apparatus replacement is the other portion of that needs to be addressed. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Any other public comment?
Yeah, my name is David Wynn. A couple of questions. May I ask a question?
Sure. Previous elected assessor recorder.
That's true. The question, part of it is actually, I think, for Debbie. But on the ballot measure itself, the way it's written, it'll come to the board for its first reading. Is that my understanding? Will there be any public comment on the actual wording? Will that be part of the...
There's public comment on every agenda item. So
that will be...
The answer is yes.
That will be allowed. The next thing I have for Debbie, I think, will there be arguments in favor and opposed on the ballot?
Absolutely, that's part of having a measure. So, and there will be rebuttals too. If everybody files timely and gets it into the office, and they will be put into the voter pamphlet for public to read both sides and the rebuttals.
That's what I thought, but I did not want to assume. Thank you.
It hasn't changed since, what, 20 years ago?
Yeah, still the code.
40.
40.
Thank you.
Yep. Yes, sir.
I'm Fred Buis, and my wife and I own a bed and breakfast.
Welcome back, by the way.
Thank you very much. As the representative from Rush Creek eloquently put it, this is a competition, the competition for visitor dollars. And I just would like to point out that when you tax those dollars, you're not just taking money from a known amount, but you're reducing the size of the pie. In other words, you're taking a larger slice of a smaller pie. By raising our costs, by raising the price to come to our place, we lose in that competition. So the pie gets smaller, and you're asking for a larger piece. And when you look at the voters who would oppose this, it's a fairly small number. It's the people who own businesses that are affected by the visitor dollars. So we're fairly easy target. You know, you can get something passed because the majority of the people aren't going to care about this. They're not going to be affected. They're going to see just more money coming into you and not realizing that the burden is going on a small group of people. I appreciated the numbers that were put up here. I just thought I'd run through ours very quickly. For every dollar that we make, 10% goes to TOT right now. In our case, to maintain our property, 5% goes to property taxes, 10% to other taxes, 18% goes to OTAs. It's impossible to operate these businesses without these online associations. 10% goes to utilities, 15% to wages, 15% to supplies and materials, 5% for maintenance, in our case 15% interest. It leaves us only about 5% that we make. So, you know, another 2% out of that budget to the county is significant for us. So I just hope that you'll consider the individuals that are making the money that you're taxing and how difficult it is. It's not an easy road for a small business. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
I have a question for staff real quick. Does the TOT come directly out of the fee paid for the rental of the unit, or is it added after the fact?
It would probably be better for one of the vendors to answer, but my understanding is it comes out, your room rate's $100, we'll do it easy. Your room rate's $100, they collect $110, they turn around and give us the 10.
Yes, ma'am, you were on your way up.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Kathy Hackle. I'm the sales manager of Best Western in East Sonora and Heritage Inn in downtown Sonora. And I'm here representing the owners of those two properties. And I'm going to read so I don't blubber and, you know. We do not support the proposed increase in TOT. Although Sonora has successfully been marketed as a Yosemite National Park destination, we are secondary to Groveland, Mariposa, Oakhurst, and the areas closer to the park. We need to stay competitive and attractive to that market. We researched our reviews recently from our peak season guests this summer, and whenever price was mentioned, 82% of the comments were unfavorable. And yet our rates are significantly lower than Oakhurst and Mariposa. So leisure travelers do pay attention to the bottom line. We rely heavily on group business, mostly international tours in our off-peak seasons. Those markets do pay attention to rate and TOT when considering a group proposal, like Terry was mentioning. You know, when they're booking a large block of rooms, rate and TOT combined are important. We feel like we would be forced to decrease our rates to offset the increase in TOT. Also, this is pretty much the same with, we do a lot of local negotiated rate contracts with companies that are working in the area. And we especially rely on them in the winter months when there's no snow. And they also pay close attention when they're booking 15 rooms Sunday through Thursday while they're here working. They pay close attention to the bottom line. And we feel, once again, we would be forced to decrease our rates to offset the increase in the TOT. At a recent Best Western International Convention in Washington, D.C., it was just last week, there was a lot of talk of a softening market, and there was a prediction of a recession in the hotel industry beginning in 2020. We just feel that now is not the time for a TOT increase. And then I just want to touch on that if TOT is increased, we feel that it's vital to continue to invest 25% of the total TOT in Visit Tuolumne County. Lodging partners in Tuolumne County are going to need the additional marketing support from Visit Tuolumne County that will be required to offset the TOT increase. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any other public comment? Going once, going twice? Sold. Okay, bring it back to the board. I'll start, since I've been kind of ignoring him most of the day, I'll start with Ryan over there if you got anything, Ryan.
I think I've been quiet. We've had a pretty smooth ride up to now. So first off, I wanted to address the phased approach, which I think is something that I guess I'm the one that brought it up at the last meeting. I don't support that idea based on not only the advice of staff. I did some looking into that and some examples of other counties. Didn't find a whole lot of examples from California, but other states have had similar type measures that were phased in, and the language of the ballot measure is pretty confusing, and I think it would have a negative effect on voter impressions of that. The reason that was an idea brought forward to kind of lighten the blow to our sales taxpayers and hotels and motels and RV parks, but I think it would, in the long run, have a negative effect on the success of that ballot measure. Right now, counties all over the state just went through a budget process like Tuolumne County did. They made cuts, and they're facing increasing costs for everything from their PERS obligations, healthcare, firefighting equipment, extra costs for adding sheriff patrols and firefighters and everything that we count on in our county government to provide us. And also right now, counties are looking at revenue measures like we're looking at. Right now, we're at 10%. I think that is too low for a transient occupancy tax. I don't think it's enough to support the kind of services that we need to provide our citizens. And so what we're here to do is decide what level that will be. We're working on giving the voters an opportunity to decide whether they want to see a decrease in services or an increase in revenues in these two areas. I'm on the side of increasing the revenues. I think we've done a good job through this last budget period of getting our house in order and making sure that ends meet for this year. But the problem is what's going to happen next year, what's going to happen 4 years from now. And that, I think, is the purpose of what we're talking about today, is planning ahead for the future. I do support TOT being at 14%, which is what we had originally set out the study to look at the support from the citizens for that. And we did receive, there was more than 50% support for that. So I'm open to talking about it if we can. I know staff recommendation was less than that, but if we could meet somewhere in the middle, that might be what we can look at. But the thing here is we have to make sure that we're being fair to the lodging industry and not unduly shifting a burden onto one group or another, but also be able to provide the services that we all depend on as a county. So I don't know. I'm interested in hearing discussion from my compatriots here.
Go ahead, John.
Okay. I would also agree that the phased approach isn't something that I want to see us do. It's too complicated, has too many pitfalls, which would more than likely not provide for a successful measure. Our basic problem is our future is on us immediately. We need money today, not tomorrow. We're at a point where I think that we've done a good job of managing the county's money. If I didn't, I certainly wouldn't be in favor of any tax increase. But I know how hard staff has worked, and I know how hard the board has worked to try to figure out ways to save money and do a better job at what we do. And I think I don't want to say we have exhausted it, but we have really worked hard on it. And I know we'll continue to work hard on it. As far as the timing, Terry, I hear you very well. I totally understand that. And if we didn't have such an immediate need, I would be totally in favor of waiting on this. But the longer the wait, the deeper in the hole that we go, the less services that we may not be able to provide. So I'm looking at the staff recommendation, and I think it's a good recommendation, and I would support that.
Vice Chair Brennan.
Yeah. So after the initial survey was done, and it was recommending 14% for TOT, I did have some fairly lengthy conversations with some of our hotel owners, and for a number of the reasons that have been expressed at the podium, I've talked at length with CAO Riggs about what is a balance point, where is a balance on this, and I think that 12% is gets us in balance where we are paying for some of those essential services that are being provided that we have got to find a way to do. And we've got to get off. We've been on a merry-go-round since the Great Recession. And I know for a number of years we used to say, well, it's the new normal. And we are really feeling the impact of what this new normal has meant to the county for the last 10 years. And while we have seen some increases in revenue, they simply are not keeping pace with our expenditures. And then when we take into account aging fleets, especially with our emergency equipment, the voters are going to have to make a choice. And so I think that this is a balanced approach that staff has taken, and I am prepared to let the voters tell us, what direction they want to see the county go. So, yeah, I'm not in favor of a phased approach. Agree with everything else that's been said, and I think that at this time, 12% represents a median, if you will. So.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So I've been involved in government budgets for, I think now, this is my 13th annual budget between in the Air Force and then now in the county, about an equal amount of time in both. And I think I have a pretty good seat of the pants feel for when you get to the square corner on a budget. And I can tell you this last year we reached that. Okay, we have to increase our revenues. And we can do it a couple of ways. We can eke it out right now and get what we need for next year on the ballot initiatives and hope that the public passes it. or we can look like staff has done, and I want to commend them on the intellectual and analytical work that they put into this, and look 2 to 3 years down the road, because anything short of that, with any realistic prognostications out there, 4, 5, 6 years down the road would get us to an answer that's totally unsellable. But I think we really do need to look 2 to 3 years down the road, and we need to fix ourselves for at least the next 3 years. I agree a phased approach isn't a good idea for any number of reasons, and I don't want to have to be part of going back in the next election and asking the voters to pass another tax increase. I've put off for 6 years trying to do that because I don't like tax increases. I honestly hate them, okay? I'm a fiscally conservative person. I just don't like taxes. But the reality of our county situation, and we're not unique. I think it was Ryan that said it. All the counties, cities, everybody's looking at a very similar fiscal situation in California. And by the way, for those that have argued for the competitiveness issue, Calaveras County just raised their TOT to 12%. Mariposa County is at 12 plus 1% for a total of 13%. So 12%, we're going to still be competing with those two counties. We're, in many ways, we'll never compete with the Monterreys and the city and county of San Francisco. But I can tell you from traveling to both of them, if you stay in the cities, you're paying a heck of a lot more in total taxes than we're paying here. So we can still compete. So I appreciate the argument, and if I was in your chair, I'd be saying the same thing. But I got to tell you, it's a little hollow, not totally, but just a little bit hollow. I think we need both these ballot measures on the ballot. Whether the public is convinced that we need the revenue for both of them, I can't forecast that. But I can tell you that I can't ask the public I don't believe I can ask the public for a 1.5 cent sales tax, so I don't put a TOT ballot measure on the ballot. And I can guarantee you, if my head math right off the top of my head is right, I can't ask for a 16% TOT to cover the sales tax revenue. So I think ultimately, if we're going to get the additional revenue that we need to run the county at the level of services that we're doing this next tax year, we need them both, and I think that it's a good mix. What the staff is recommending is a good mix. I would never expect the lodging industry to come in here and encourage us to raise TOT. I would not ask you to do that. Likewise, I hope you don't expect that I would get up to the microphone as a citizen and urge the Board of Supervisors to increase my sales tax. Okay, that's just not a natural occurring item in real life. But the reality is, it's up to us to paint the picture, the factual picture, not the politicized picture, but the factual picture of why an increased revenue is necessary and why these make sense, and then let the public, the various industries that are going to be impacted, duke it out on election day. And so I do like 12%. I was not in favor of 14%. How staff figured that out, I'll have no idea. I also was not in favor of 1.25% for sales tax. So I think the 1 and the 12% are where I would like to see it. I feel comfortable as a fiscal conservative going to our public and asking them to consider that. Okay, and that's all I'll do. I'm not going to ask them to vote for it. I'm going to ask them to consider it. Consider what the potential impacts are going to be to the county if we don't get them, and then vote their conscience. And that's what we're really talking about. We're not talking about this board raising either TOT tax or sales tax, but giving the public the option to vote on whether they want to continue the level of services that this county has been providing for the past several years going forward. Because if they do, then there's a price to pay to do that. We need the additional revenue. Our revenue increases have been there, but they're much more meager than the increase in costs. And the costs are going to continue to go up. I think the staff painted that picture. You're going to see an extra $1 million a year minimum in PERS alone. More, okay, yep. So, I mean, these are very real fiscal problems we're dealing with, and I don't enjoy advocating for tax increases. So I'm not going to advocate for them. I'm going to just let the staff let you know what the consequences are if we don't get them. So with having that been said, I'm looking for a motion from the board.
I'll move on staff recommendations. Do you want more?
No, that's good enough.
Okay.
Am I going to get a second? Okay, the chair seconds the motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? 4-0. Staff, thank you very much for all the hard work. And public, thank you all for the very constructive and informative comments. And with that, I believe our business here is done. Board meeting is adjourned. I will, since I've still got the mic hot, there is a special meeting today on EDA at 4 o'clock in here. It is all closed session, so you're more than willing to come and comment on it, but it will all be closed session. Thank you.